All right. Good afternoon. It is now 4:30 and the Bella Board of Town Commissioners Budget Work Session is now in session. We're going to call the roll. Commissioner Foss,
Here.
Commissioner Chismar,
Here?
Commissioner Taylor,
Here.
and Commissioner Hanley.
Here.
That our mic's not on, which may be the cabinet.
We need Mike to calm. Mine was on, but not really functioning. The green light was on, but it's not really working. All right, we'll wait for Michael to come fix it before we.
Brief recess until the town clerk gets here.
There you go. Started without him.
Hey, Gavin. They put 2 more racer certificates up there. Okay, so you got 2 more left. You signed all yours.
How many total was it, Steve?
Pardon?
How many total was it?
Of the,
Racing certificates?
I don't know. I was just signing.
Just, we weren't counting.
Well, yeah.
High 30s, it's like 38, 39.
They're really into their event. I'll tell you that.
Mr. Krantz, our microphones look like they're on, but they're not really functioning. Got to turn them on. That's your official duty. All right, testing. Oh, you got it over there too.
Now we go.
All right, now we got it. All
We're
right,
good.
now we're good. All right, so we'll continue with our meeting, and may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the agenda.
Thank you so much. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, and all those in favor of approving the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous for our secretary. And the first item on our meeting next week will be the public hearing for Resolution 1268-26, the fiscal year 2027 tentative budget. Are you going to talk to us about that, Lisa?
Nope.
Okay.
Budgeted out.
Had enough of the budget
There isn't anything else to
to
report.
say other than we've already,
Yeah.
right. And we'll have more to come later this afternoon as we continue our budget discussions, so.
Correct. So how the meeting will work on Monday is I'll do a PowerPoint presentation under tentative, under the public hearing for the 2 enterprise funds and the special revenue fund. And then it will move into final budget, which I know I'm jumping ahead of you. And that's where the budget will be final. There will be a motion with all the amendments that went from the tentative to the final.
Gotcha. All
So-
right.
All of that will happen this Monday?
Yes?
So we will submit the budget, or, bring it up, and then we will approve it in the same meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Lisa hopes we will.
Yes.
Well, I just couldn't remember the timeline. I just read it right.
That's okay, Steve.
All right. Any other questions on the timing of the budget for Lisa? Okay. Under new business, we will have ordinance 861-26 prohibiting data centers in the town of Bel Air.
Yeah, so when
Commissioner-
we discussed this at our last work session, and the posture that this legislation wound up in is we're going to clean up that prohibition section that Commissioner Chismar had, mentioned, and we're going to rephrase that to say that if something is not permitted by right or by special exception or anything else, then it is presumed to be prohibited, and we are going to include explicitly that among those prohibitions are junkyards and data centers, but of course that is including but not limited to. And I know that that's something that Mr. Krantz and Mr. Bear are currently working on. I'm sure we'll see a draft soon. Is that right, Mr. Bear?
Yes, actually, have
Oh, perfect.
here, it just gives you a
Cued you in perfectly for that.
looks like, but it's not the final version. What we would probably do would just be to add, in a sense, what we would do is add a similar footnote to each of the use tables, so you can see what that looks like there. I actually, as you know, I was traveling and joined the meeting, I think, right after you completed the discussion of it, so I did go back and listen to that, and I had a number of conversations with Michael about it. So take a look at how that appears to you. We can definitely continue to tweak that footnote and make specific reference to it as well, to the junkyards and data centers. made some minor modifications to the other language there. as
Yes,
well.
so I think what we want to do, and I know this isn't the final draft, so in the final draft, what we want to make sure is that that section that says junkyards are prohibited, that's where we want to change that language to
Okay.
say, if not permitted, then prohibited, including junkyards and data
Yes.
centers. And just for the public watching, this is also relevant that the county is currently considering similar legislation to explicitly prohibit data centers, so it is a timely piece of legislation as our partners at the county consider taking a similar step.
Great. Anything else on the data centers? All right, then we will have Resolution 127126, the fiscal year 2027 final budget. And Lisa, this will be the budget with any changes that we make to the tentative budget that we will be looking at. Okay, and we're still working on those, so. All right, and anything else on the fiscal year 2027 final budget? I know we'll be talking about more budget issues later. Okay. Resolution.
I just had a
12
quick question. It's
Yes.
going to be, that budget will be posted, like updated, like the updates that we've done by Monday night?
So probably, I can't, it depends on what we do later today, how involved the changes are. So with that being said, the final budget will either be ready for the agenda for Monday, normal time on Friday, when Michael's office takes care of that, or in the morning on Monday. It just is gonna depend.
Thank you.
Sorry, I know that's not a straightforward answer.
And based on what we've been looking at, it might be Monday morning more than Friday afternoon is kind of my thinking. All right, then we will, any other questions on the 2027 final budget? Okay. Resolution 1272-26, the appointment of Rachel Diener as Finance Director. Michael?
Yes, thank you. Rachel has accepted the offer. She is in the process of moving. She has purchased a home in Maryland, and she is, I think, maybe here. I think, not here yet, the 7th or the 8th. I know she was
No, I
traveling.
think she settles on the 15th.
But I think she was traveling in.
Yeah, I think.
Anyway, I didn't talk to her this weekend,
sometime.
but she is aggressively moving towards and thrilled about accepting the position for Director of Finance. This resolution would satisfy the code and charter requirements of the board acknowledging and approving the interim town administrator's recommendation at this point. And you'll see it before you for a vote on Monday. If you have any questions with the language that was drafted, I just sent the draft around for you. It's pretty straightforward. And
Michael, question, the 18th is Monday, so we'll be voting on it that night, but it says her appointment is effective May 18th. Is that how we do the dates, or should it be on the
Correct.
19th?
the language that I put in there is that the appointment would be effective the day of the vote, which would be the 18th. And then I wrote, and be it further resolved that the date on which Ms. Diener's employment with the town shall commence shall be coordinated by the Director of Administration. So I thought that would create this necessary separation between the board approving her hire and then the actual
Got it.
first day of
First day.
pay.
Oh, okay.
First day of pay.
I was thinking those were the same date, May 18th.
It was
but they don't have
difficult to
be.
coordinate that, even
Right.
when Mr. Bear
Right.
was appointed, so we handled it similarly then. God forbid, she has to delay a date, and then we have to ask you to reappoint because the dates are wrong on the resolution. I was trying to leave that a little open, just in case, yeah.
Well, that's what I thought the May
Yeah.
18th was saying, and it meant that she would start on the 18th, and I'm like, well, and
Right.
you explained it, we're
Right.
good.
Got it.
Okay. So we'll be approving her on the 18th, but she won't really be starting on the 18th, and she and Mike will work that out.
Tentatively, June 1st is her start date.
Great.
And I say tentatively just because it's a big deal in the move and everything. So if it happens a couple days or a week later, no harm, no foul. But I think it's comforting for her and everyone else to know that the board has approved and this is going to be finalized shortly.
Well, we'll certainly, if she's watching, welcome her to town, and she's been moving with lightning speed as far as, moving all the way from the, other side of the country practically. So I'm looking forward to having her here, and I'm looking forward to having some overlap with Lisa so that she can really, pick up and go. So, anything further about the appointment of Rachel Diener? All right, moving on to the sidewalk trip and hazard removal contract, Mr. Klein.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the annual process of going into communities and cutting tripping hazards off of sidewalks where they've been raised by roots or other obstructions. We've had very great success from doing this. I think this is probably the 8th or 9th year we've done it. So I think it's just something that we're just going to continue to do on a regular basis. This year, we're going to cut over 602 sections of sidewalk to remove trip hazards in the Homestead Village neighborhood this year. The price for that I'll be requesting your approval for is $44,225. Is there any questions? And in the package that you will get from me, you'll see all the locations, and they really have a neat new thing that shows the actual streets with the houses on and where each tripping hazard is. So it's very, very nicely done. So I think you'll appreciate it.
Look forward to it. Any
Yep.
questions about the street resurfacing? I'm sorry, the sidewalk trip and hazard removal contract? Okay. Next, we have the bituminous concrete street resurfacing at various locations in the town of Bel Air. And Mr. Klein, that's you again.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. This is the annual street resurfacing that we do once a year, usually at this time of the year in the spring. This year, we'll be resurfacing 7 sections of streets in town, and we'll also be resurfacing the basketball court at Alice Ann Park. The streets that we are specifically going to be resurfacing are Linwood Avenue from Deerbrook to the end, Maitland Street from Churchville Road to Eastern Avenue, South Atwood Road from Baltimore Pike to Marketplace Drive, Grayson Square, Hall Street from Rock Spring Road to the end where it meets Harford County Hall Street, Wilson Street, and Cortlandt Street from Main Street to Hickory Avenue. In addition, the contract calls for the paving of the basketball court at the Alice Ann Park. We do have a good thing here where $53,894 will help pay for the Cortlandt Street project, and that's a community development block grant that the town was able to achieve. So $53,894 is community development block grant. The price of the contract is not to exceed $559,000. We got really good numbers from Barnes Paving, who's actually a local firm right in town, which is good. We had 8 people bid on the project, so we had good numbers. They were the lowest bid, of course. So we're looking good. We're really excited to get going with it.
Sounds like a lot of people in town are going to be happy.
Yeah.
New road surfaces.
Yep.
Any questions about the resurfacing?
Just a quick question. I'm having like brain fog or something. Wilson Street. Where,
It's basically an alley right next to Alice Ann
Alice Ann Street.
Park.
Okay, yes, I
Yeah,
got it. I know
that's
exactly
it.
where, yep,
It's from Alice Ann Street to Gordon Street.
thank you.
Yes.
All right, next we have the recreation building roof replacement contract. Mr. Klein, you're just
This is me as well.
replacing and upgrading and paving everywhere.
Yes, indeed. This is a project to replace the roof at the Recreation Center's building, which is directly across from the library. It's got a very unique roofing system now, and it's very expensive to replace just because of how it's built with the parapet around the outside, and then it's attached to the roof. So all that has to be removed and then replaced. We originally last year thinking it was going to be in the $60,000 range, which in my opinion was high too. It's $85,000 is the low bid that we got on this project. $85,873. So when you get your packet, you'll see everything you're going to be doing with that project, what the roof actually looks like, because I know it's hard to explain it, but there's some pictures that show like what we're dealing with up there on the roof and why it's more difficult than a standard roof replacement.
So I recall us debating is a strong word, but discussing this project at last year's, around 1 year ago this time,
Mhm.
during last year's budget cycle, and it was something that we invested a decent chunk of time into discussing. Why the delay? Was it a procurement thing? I'm just curious, why now at this point in the budget year? I'm not trying to, that sounded more
Yeah.
accusatory than I meant it, but why, what
It's
has
just-
intervened?
It's just, we've been really trying to get the price and the fix right,
Okay.
and different contractors are talking about doing different means in which to do the project.
Mhm.
So it was a little bit of that, of us working with contractors and telling us what we really think needed to be done.
Okay.
And it's just that towards the end of the year, and we're just finishing up all our projects, and it
Sure.
just happened to be towards the end of
Sure.
one of the last projects we're working on.
So is it fair to characterize it that we maybe in the beginning received some bids that we were not happy with?
Well, certainly, we've looked at some of the numbers and we're very like, whoa, this is not what we were thinking, and this
Uh-huh.
is the low one that we did receive.
Okay.
So,
All right. Fair enough.
yep.
Thank you.
Are we still planning on going in with the county on this?
Yes, the county, we had originally, again, thought the project was going to be $60,000. The county Parks and Rec agreed to split that in half and give us $30,000. Lisa and I have been in discussions with regard to that. Is it fair for us to ask them to make up half of the price now that it's 85, and ask them for the difference between 30 and half of 85? And we were still discussing that. What are your thoughts as commissioners?
I think we should still make the attempt to have them split the cost with us and just tell them the numbers
Great.
came in, higher than we thought, and
Maybe perhaps a payment plan or something if they can't handle it all at the one time, maybe like
I bet they
2
can.
years or something. Yeah.
But
Can't hurt
Well-
to ask, right?
Right.
that's my feeling. All I can say
It's
is
only
no.
12 grand difference.
Right.
For their, where they got a
Yeah.
billion.
Well, that's just it. That's
Right.
exactly
For their
right.
half, it's 12 grand.
They're the ones that are using it. It's their building, really. It's our building, but we pay for them to have their stuff in there. So it's a nice 50 by 80 foot lot. Probably could get 300 on the market if we sold it, and we wouldn't have these things to talk about. But just something I
That
was
is-
thinking about earlier
That
when I
is
was looking
one-
at this high roof number.
Yeah, that's one expensive roof, and I'll be interested to see the pictures that you show us next week and everything. But
Yeah.
man, that is
Yeah.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's not slate or anything. It's
Yeah.
like your
Today-
regular roofing product.
Today I was looking over some old agendas for roofs that I did. And I did, 2016, we did the Armory, the big barrel roof, and it was 130. So you know how big that was. But it was a simple cover, it was a barrel roof, and it was just laying laminate over the top of it. This involves removing a lot of metal off and putting in new gutter system because of the way the building is built and everything. So it's a lot more intensive.
So we should definitely not build any buildings like that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
so will this make it easier when it needs another roof,
Yes.
it'll make it
Yes. Yes.
much cheaper than
Yes.
this version? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Well, at least we're getting something extra besides the roof. 'Cause
Yeah.
how long will this roof last? What's the?
Well, we've got 10-year warranty.
10-year
I believe.
warranty?
I think I read that, but I'll double check on that. Yeah.
Gee, that seems awfully short.
Is it still gonna be a flat roof?
Yes. I'll have to get back to you
All
on
right.
that. Yeah.
10 years seems like not very long. I think my roof had a 30-year warranty. Of course, it's not commercial and it's not strange. It's your basic everyday roof.
They don't like to warranty flat roofs.
Well, there's a reason for that.
'Cause the water's puddles.
Right. Yeah, flat roofs, probably not the best thing to
Yep.
have on anything. All right, moving on from the roof replacement contract to the accessory package for the Criminal Investigation Division van, Chief Moore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My apologies on this. We were ready to move forward with an accessory package purchase for Criminal Investigation Division van. Basically, it's to upfit a 2020 Dodge van that we recently purchased. But we started going through this, and we realized that it might be a little redundant because we have another accessory package that we have to purchase for a vehicle that was a patrol vehicle that was totaled last year. So rather than do just one, we might as well just get them both packages together. And I'm not quite sure we even have to get that much for the next accessory package for the patrol vehicle, because what we're doing is we're going to recycle things from the patrol vehicle that was totaled, but there might be a few things we have to purchase. So rather than try to present one, let's just try to do both of them at the same time. And the reason we're doing this is because of the procurement rules. We've already had several purchases of accessory packages for other patrol vehicles. So we're kind of over the rules. We're over the procurement rules for having to present it to you. So that's how I understand it. Am I right with that, Lisa?
Yes, it's because the initial packages that we brought before you had to come before you. Anything else that is spent for that vendor has to come back before you. So yeah, and I agree with Chuck. This way we're only bringing it back before you one time with the two accessory packages together.
And it's not that expensive. That's why she had to explain it to me. I'm like, this is only $7,000. Why not? But
It's the cumulative
Yes,
total
it's
that
cumulative,
means it
yes,
has to
ma'am.
come
Yep.
here.
yeah,
Correct.
so
Yep.
I'm going to hold off till the next time.
All right,
Thank you.
sounds good.
Yep.
Moving on to the Harford County Community Development Block Grant Notice of Intent. Ms. Robertson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since 1996, the town of Bel Air has been part of a cooperation agreement with Harford County to be part of their Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG program. That's the program that Steve just referenced in the repaving contract that we're using that grant funding. CDBG is a federal grant program administered by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and it provides an annual funding amount on a formula basis to states, cities, and counties to help develop viable urban communities. In Bel Air, we have a limited number of low to moderate income tracts that qualify us for use of funding from CDBG, and we typically use the formula funded grant allocation for infrastructure improvements or economic development projects. In recent years, we have primarily used it for paving projects like the one that Steve referenced on Cortland. In the past 20 years, we have also used it for improvements to the Armory for ADA accessibility, for Armory Marketplace, and for improvements to the culvert on George Street. CDBG, as I mentioned, is a federal program, and we can either elect to participate as a subrecipient of Harford County's CDBG program, which is what we have traditionally done, or we can choose to be excluded from Harford County's program, in which case we would have to notify both HUD and the county that we were no longer participating in the cooperation agreement. As it is to our advantage to continue to participate as part of Harford County's allocation, Bel Air, as well as the other two municipalities in Harford County, have been sub-grantees for Harford County instead of applying directly through Housing and Urban Development. Every 3 years, we receive what's called a Notice of Intent letter from Harford County asking if we will continue being a sub-recipient as part of their program. We recently received the letter for FY27 to FY29, so I'm just bringing this before you because it does require a signature from the Board of Town Commissioners that and an authorized official that we will continue to participate with them. So we do recommend that it is to our advantage to continue that relationship as part of the cooperation agreement as we have for the past 30 years, and the Notice of Intent would just require a signature.
And that is why it is on our agenda for Monday, so that we can all take a look at it and just say, yes, we are still interested in participating. I agree with you. It's a program we have been participating in. I see no reason for us to try to get out of it. So that'll be what we're looking at on Monday.
Because of the small allocation of low to moderate income housing that we have in town, our funding formula provides a small annual grant through CDBG. So to navigate the waters of a federal grant program and all the reporting requirements and not be part of Harford County's would be a real disadvantage to the town. So they do give us a lot of support as far as what projects will be approved and in helping us with the reporting and determination of projects. So It's a good
Sounds
thing.
good, so we can pave streets and do other good projects in town.
Correct.
Any questions for Angela? All right, the Harford County Town of Bel Air Sewer Service Agreement Amendment. Addendum. Ms. Moody.
Yes, so, as each year, Harford County forwards us the calculation for the annual new bulk rate to treat the sewage. It's been reviewed by Public Works, it's been reviewed by myself. We sent back, I don't know, maybe 30 questions. They've all been answered and provided supporting documentation satisfactorily. So we're ready to move forward with the addendum. The rate did increase 30 cents per 1,000 gallons from 5.36 to 5.66, so another significant increase to treat the sewage. So again, the addendum is just to the 1988 sewer service agreement, bringing the E&R rate up, the bulk rate, and it also has in it the system development fee in it. So it's just really housekeeping. We've reviewed everything.
And this is what the county charges us to treat our sewage,
Correct.
which we no longer treat as a town, or if we ever did. I don't know. Never.
Mm-mm.
Years
Right,
and
we
years
own, we
ago.
own the system, we own the pipes, we own that, but, that's it. We
Right.
send it somewhere else. That's good. All right. Any questions about the
Yeah.
no agreement?
So Lisa, is this the same rate that they will charge regular county customers too?
No, we're considered a bulk customer. We have a special 1988 agreement that is specific to us and the county. So this has nothing to do with their customers.
Well, we pass this on to our customers. Correct. I mean, this cost
I
has to,
wouldn't consider it a pass-through. It's not a one-for-one pass-through. I mean, obviously, our sewer rates, which I'll talk about during the budget, but our sewer rates have to be able to cover these costs,
right.
along with everything else in the sewer fund, but I wouldn't classify it as a pass-through. We don't pass this on to our customers. I just wouldn't phrase it as such.
So you're saying whatever
Sorry,
percentage
it's a-
this 30 cents is, there will not be a same percentage
Percentage.
charge as an increase to our customers?
Mm-mm. No, that's correct.
No. So what that is, it's gonna take away from, we'll have less monies for maintenance and things of that nature.
Correct. That's absolutely correct. Capital,
Capital improvements and whatever, right?
operating, yes. Yep. And I will speak more to this when we get to the sewer
Okay.
budget, but so you've got a good segue going on there,
All right.
Steve.
That's what, you know,
He is anxious to talk about that
Hold
sewer
that.
budget.
if we're paying a higher bill, somebody's
Hold
gotta
that-
pay for it.
hold
Money's
that
gotta come from
thought.
somewhere.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any more questions about the sewer service agreement? And this, I know you ask a lot of questions, so it's pretty much dictated by the county.
It is, the 88 agreement is pretty specific when it comes to the formula. It's, I don't want to say it's vague, but for the times, it's vague as to what can be included and what can't be included, or what departments can be included and what can't be included. Departments are included now that aren't specified in the 1988 agreement. We have tried over my tenure here to have conversations with the county and changing the 88 agreement. We even paid for a consultant to come in, gosh, probably 20, Steve, do you remember that? Do you remember the consultant coming in? Might have been right, maybe before your time.
Yeah, I think so.
So Steve's been here for almost 25 years? 26. So, yeah, this was a very long time ago. They just wouldn't budge on it. So, you know, it's an 88 agreement. It really does need to be updated. I'm not saying what they're doing is incorrect. I'm just saying that things need to be laid out a little bit more appropriately and detailed for the times. You know, things change as you progress forward. For example, technology is not in the 88 agreement, but we all know technology is a critical piece when it comes to, you know, just services in general, and should be part of that proration that they do, similar to what we do. We do that pro rata with the sewer and the parking fund, and they do something very similar to that. It's just technology's not laid out in that piece of the agreement.
So there are costs now that are different than they were back in 1988
Yes,
when this
ma'am.
agreement was negotiated. It was negotiated with an eye towards what the costs and what the factors were then. Things have changed.
Yep.
And the
So,
agreement has
you know,
not.
like the addition to technology was never negotiated.
Yeah.
It was just done. And we questioned it, and it's a reasonable
Mm-hmm.
change. I didn't have any issues with it, but if you're gonna have an agreement, then it needs to be all-inclusive. And if things have changed, then in my opinion, we should be updating that agreement. But it's just not something that's ever been favorable with the county.
Got it. All right. Anything else about the sewer agreement?
I could just add too,
Mhm.
as Lisa mentioned, technology. I basically ran the whole thing through some AI tools, and it really felt, the answer came back, that it really felt that our agreement is very equitable. It is in a good
Mhm.
position compared to a lot of things. So, it's
Yeah.
a good way to start, but I do agree that in the future we could get Tyson Williams to come in and go through a really good study for it.
All right.
As Lisa retires, she says that. Good luck with that.
I don't think we want to mention Lisa retiring. It's not a happy subject, although we're happy to have Rachel coming on board. All right, next we have the check signing policy amendments. Miss Moody?
Yes, so we, housekeeping policy, as you all know, we just need to make some amendments to it. Add Michael as interim town administrator, remove Mr. Hopkins. Also going to add myself as the director of finance to have authorization to sign payroll checks. And I will probably go ahead, I haven't talked to Michael about this, but I'd like to go ahead and just add Rachel to this policy too. Then
That's what I thought you were going to
have
add. Was
to
going to be
redo
one of the
it.
names that you were
Have
going to
to
put up here.
We'll redo it.
Mhm.
I do need to stay on here until I leave in July. And so my thoughts were when we have a new town administrator and I'm no longer here, then you can hopefully make that last change
Right.
to the check signing policy. But I think at the same time, let's go ahead and add Rachel to
Rachel.
it, so I don't have to come back before you and amend this in the next couple of meetings.
Understood.
All right, thank you.
All right. Any questions about the check signing? All right, moving on to commissioners' liaison reports.
I can begin. Appearance and Beautification met last night. They are coming off of a very successful garden mart. Nearly all of the vendors were almost all the way sold out. I mean, the tonnage of greenery that left the armory that day is a marvel to behold. They did a great job. Special thanks always to Elaine Millard, who really puts that together. Amanda Berry, who's one of the new recruits, she's taken under her wing, was also there to help. She was manning the free book table, and we want to thank the Harford County Public Library for donating some free books for people to take. I was lucky enough to find a 1956 copy of Taylor's Gardening Encyclopedia.
Written by a relative?
I'm still researching that one, but you know it's old because on the front is Lex Hort, short for Lexicon Horticulturalis, or Latin for, basically Encyclopedia of Gardening. So it was a really cool find. They had a couple of really old books, which, I love old books. It's just so cool to see little bits of history. So just goes to show that not only do they have the actual material gardening product, but they also have some really cool gardening accessories. So it's a great event. It was very successful, and now they're looking on to their summer activities. One question that they did have that I'll put Mr. Klein on the spot now because I'm sure that you have an answer is the hanging baskets. We're looking at those soon, I imagine. They're up. Okay, there we go. Was that today or yesterday? Okay, we were still having a question about it yesterday, so they must not have seen it. Well, perfect. So the hanging baskets are up. You did say it would be after Mother's Day. You were true to your word. And so perfect. And they had that question as well. They had that question as well. So clearly the warm weather has hit Bel Air in full swing. They were a little bit worried about the cold weather that we got last night and all the flowers that were delivered, but can I tell them that everything was safe and good to go? Wonderful. Yep. Sue and Bonnie offered to gather all the quilts and blankets in their house and take them up and tuck the flowers in. So we're lucky it didn't have to come to that. But good. So needless to say, Bel Air is in bloom, and it's a beautiful time to come to town, and our ABC is a critical part of that. And ECDC will meet this Thursday. That's my report.
The Rockfield Foundation is actually going to meet on the 18th at 8:30 a.m. And then, of course, the Bel Air Downtown Alliance will meet the 19th in the morning, and the Cultural Arts Wednesday, have a busy week, 17, 8. They'll meet Wednesday at 4. Also, just on your calendar, just highlight it, and all this, the 13th, that is tomorrow, 4 p.m., the exhibit in the library, the America 250. I kind of peeked in the other day when I was in there with my grandson. You're going to be really pleased. It's really amazing.
Planning Commission and the Board of Appeals did not meet, but they will be meeting the Planning Commission will meet for the 4th of June. I believe there's one item coming up. At least one? Okay. Which we haven't gotten the packages yet, so I'm not sure what they are.
It's phase 6 of the mall redevelopment, as well as the Dunkin' Donuts project that's coming in with Jimmy.
Okay.
I heard the mall redevelopment. I missed the second one.
Oh, there's a proposed Jimmy John's and Dunkin' Donuts that's coming in.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. The tree committee did not meet in April because of Arbor Day, the opening day of the farmer's market. The tree committee will be meeting tomorrow afternoon at 4:30 p.m. at the planning offices, where Public Works is also located off of Churchville Road.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I think that meeting needs to be relocated. We are in the process of painting the whole entire office area of Public Works and Planning, and right now the conference room is all the wallpaper's torn off and spackled, and everything's covered with sheets and things of that nature. So I don't know who does that, Michael. Is that
That is Waquar, I believe. So we will have to look into, Michael, if you could check on moving, if the town conference room is ready, that would be available. Also, the police community room is a much bigger room and is also available. I think we'll certainly all fit in the town conference room if it's open, but we'll have to get notices out to all the folks that will be driving to the wrong location tomorrow if they don't know that we have been changed. But thank you for that, because I was not aware that you were undergoing renovations, so I'll have to come and see what the new paint and everything looks like when you're done.
I've been there for 26 years, and it's the same thing there for the last 26 years, the wallpaper stuff, so we decided we would just spruce up a little bit to keep up with the folks up here and with their new buildings.
All right. Seems fair. So we will be meeting, the tree committee will be meeting tomorrow at 4:30 p.m., but we may have to change our location. In fact, I think we better change our location, and we'll be discussing the Rockfield Park plantings. There's some RFPs that have been submitted, and also to make sure that we are on track for Tree City USA, and we continue to maintain that designation. So that's what we'll be doing with the tree committee tomorrow. And then I'm not sure exactly when, but there will be a summer recess. The tree committee takes off in the summer.
Committee for Seniors and Citizens in Need will be meeting on the 28th. Ms. Erhard from the Downtown Alliance will be at that meeting. And then the Historic Preservation will also be meeting on the 28th, and we're continuing our preparation for the America 250 celebration.
All right. Staffing update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The town has 2 positions posted. right now. It is a police dispatcher job, and that job's about to end here shortly. And then we also have a parking enforcement monitor position. So both are open for applications. We have 23 active applicants for the parking enforcement monitor and 38 active applicants for the police dispatcher. And the police dispatcher job here will end in a few days, and parking enforcement is open for another week. I know the police department is still working on background checking of the open applicant pools or the closed applicant pools for a police officer lateral and police officer recruit. And unless staff has any updates, I'm unaware of any additional turnover, knock on wood. And
For sure. How many applications did you say we have for the parking enforcement?
23 at the
23.
moment. Yeah,
All right.
it's a popular job.
And
We'll see.
dispatcher had a pretty good amount.
30. They typically, we haven't posted parking enforcement in a while, but I recall last time we did post it, it was a pretty popular ad. And police dispatcher is always a very popular ad. However, I will say we do get an awful lot of people with zero experience in either one of those categories. So the town is always looking for somebody who may have done that job or something similar to that job, and we try to
Absolutely.
rank the applicants accordingly.
All right. Well, good luck with the ranking. You got a pretty wide field there. Hope you get some good applicants. Anything else, Mike, on the staffing update?
If you wanted to look at the appointed officials chart that I handed out.
And our most pressing one is the planning commission.
Yeah.
It's still looking at that. Interesting thing with that is, and I don't know if there's anything we can do about it because of the state regulations, is that we are having 4 people appointed this year. It's somehow it got bunched up. I'd like to, and they're 5-year terms, and I'd like to spread those out. I don't know how we can, if we can do that because of the state law.
Yeah, I think what we should do is talk to Liz, because I think they were
Right.
supposed to be staggered, and I'm not sure if maybe some people leaving early, have caused them to all line up like this, but you're right, it's not supposed to be that way.
Right.
Because it's a bad idea to have, maybe a whole new crew all at once,
All at once, right. You have- you-
Often people serve another term, but you can't be guaranteed that, so.
I think what may have happened is that if people resigned or whatever, we reappointed somebody, we gave them 5 years instead of giving them the remainder of the term.
I suspect that you're correct on that,
But
so.
I can't verify that, but
we're
that's
gonna
probably
have
how we
to-
got it
We're
bunched
gonna have
up.
to talk to Liz about
Yeah.
what we can do to straighten that out, because it is a problem. And then the other one is Stephen Burdette, which isn't until August, which is, plenty far out there. But have we talked to him to see if he's interested? I'm suspecting he'll say yes, because I know the board actually, while we need one, has never met in your memory. So it's not as mission critical as the planning commission, but important nonetheless. All right, Mike, anything else on the staffing?
That's all, thank you.
All right, and then we have the calendar, which everyone should have. I don't know if anyone else noticed, but we got an invitation from Rockfield for like the unveiling of their plaque. The problem is that it is the same time. Yes. It's on the 9th at 5 p.m., and we have a work session at 5:15. So I did respond to the RSVP and said I couldn't attend because of that, so I'm not sure if they're probably locked into keeping it that date and time. So the only things we could do is A, all of us skip, or B, we could start our meeting later. I don't know. You can think about that.
Where was this invitation?
It's to Rockfield Manor's plaque unveiling.
Email?
It was emailed to us for contributors, and of course, the town has been a big supporter,
Right.
so we have been invited. And
I must have missed that.
yeah, but all of us are busy. It's not like one of us could go to the ribbon cutting somewhere else and we could go there. We're all busy. So I'm just pointing it out so that we could,
It might have just been sent to the two of you,
well, that is strange.
but regardless.
Regardless.
I had it on my calendar, just because I know that the emails that they've sent out before, but I don't remember getting anything on that. May
It
8th.
was. I got one on May 8th. At any rate, I'm just flagging it as a calendar item that we should perhaps consider because they are Rockfield and it is our property. I would certainly like to have some or all of us in attendance, but if we have a meeting, we need to be at our meeting. And then as far as the calendar coming up for the rest of the month, we have, well, Friday is Bike to Work Day. And of course, the Freedom Truck is here today and tomorrow, which was a really cool exhibit. I encourage anybody to go that wants to sign the Declaration of Independence and meet George Washington. It's pretty neat. See if you're a patriot or a rebel.
Depending
See
on
if-
how well you know your history.
See if you can pass. Those I could do, but I haven't tried. Those were relatively, I knew to side with the people who dumped the tea in the harbor. But I heard that the actual history quiz was much more difficult. A lot of people didn't
Oh.
pass. Many people did not pass. I did not take the quiz. That scared me, so I didn't take it. But then we have our meeting on the 18th.
I did and I passed.
We have a military
So, yeah.
appreciation luncheon on the 19th, Tuesday, for anyone that is going to that. Monday, the 25th, town offices are closed, but there will be a Memorial Day ceremony in Shamrock Park. I will be there for sure. Our next work session will be on Wednesday, the 27th. We moved it from its original date on the 26th because of a conflict. And then we have a ribbon cutting at 3 o'clock on Thursday, the 28th. And the Bel Air Lions are having bingo on the 29th of Friday. So, and the big thing, of course, is this weekend is the Derby on Sunday, which is starting very, very, very early, very early. I think the races start at 8, but the drivers and all the rest of the folks will be there earlier, and I will be there between 6:30 and 7, apparently. So that's... I know, I was like, I will be there, but I might need to bring a coffee with me. So it'll be fun, because all the kids will be really excited about running their races. Anything else that anybody's noticed on the calendar as any kind of like conflicts or other issues? All right.
Mentioning the Derby, don't forget to stop in the admin department. We have lots and lots of certificates to sign, so.
That's what I
Yeah,
heard. We'll get
yeah.
writer's cramp in there. There's a lot of participants. To think that they came from the first year when they weren't really sure they were going to be able to have a race because they needed 2 racers, 2 cars, to, this number of participants, it has really taken off. So that is great to see. All right. Any more calendar items? I think we're good to know what we're doing. All right. Staff comments? Mr. Creance?
None at the moment, thank you.
None at the moment. Mr. Baer?
I will note that Gary Webb did come by the office today to meet with me and us, so we gave him his orientation packet. Had a great conversation.
Great. All right. Miss Moody?
No, ma'am.
You don't even want to comment that you're, looking forward to the end of budget season? Your very last one?
Just a little.
Just a little. Ms. Roberts?
I do just want to comment, Commissioner Foss brought up the library exhibit that's going on that has been done by the Cultural Arts Commission. It's been on your calendar and you've received an invitation. However, no one has RSVP'd to CAT, whether or not they'll be in attendance. We do have, it is an event that only you all were invited to, so Cultural Arts Commission members plan to be there. Someone from the library plans to be there. Someone from Harford County Public Schools plans to be there. But if none of you are able to make it, we will be canceling that event. So if you can let me know whether or not
It is actually,
It's-
so everybody, I think
it's
people miss it.
tomorrow.
It is tomorrow at 4 p.m. at
Correct.
the library, and
Uh-huh.
it is an art exhibit. which
It
is pretty
is,
cool.
it is an art exhibit for America 250 that has had contributions from 4 local public schools in Bel Air have contributed pieces, and the Cultural Arts Commission, in conjunction with HCPS and the library, hung the exhibit at the end of April for a May 1 opening, and it runs through the 30th.
Okay. It is on my calendar. Maybe we missed the RSVP.
It should have come from Kat in Economic Development. So if you plan to be there, terrific. We really want you to be able to see the exhibit. And
I want to see the exhibit.
Yeah.
We will be there,
Great.
or at least some of us will be there, and everybody, somehow the RSVP didn't get responded to, but it is on our
Excellent.
calendar. So
Okay. Well,
Yeah, I
I
will
know
be
that-
there. In her very last paragraph, it says, "We'd be honored for your presence, and please kindly reply to this email." So I'm
That's the
so
part we
sorry about
missed.
that.
That's the
Here the
part we missed.
liaison, and
Okay.
I will be there too. I'm gonna,
Okay.
yes, respond right
Super.
now.
Well, I'm glad
All
we
right.
can move forward with that and that you plan to attend. They
And
look-
I'm
they
glad
look
that you
forward to
pointed
it.
it out,
Yep.
because these things happen. And we were planning to attend, but forgot to tell anybody we were coming.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Chief?
Yes, ma'am. Just a reminder, you kind of brought up that the Soapbox Derby is happening coming up Sunday. Just a reminder to the citizens, the Main Street will close around 7 a.m. and it'll open up around 1:30, 2 o'clock. And just please be cognizant of parking along Main Street. Don't park Saturday into Sunday. Keep your cars off Main Street and the Pennsylvania, or the lot right next to the tower. We got to keep that clear, because that's they're going to be starting, right in that area. Lastly, we have a new future officer starting today. She was sworn in up at the county clerk's office, Emma Bloom. She was a previous explorer, and we're happy to have her aboard. Yep, that's it.
I had the pleasure of meeting Officer Emma when I was here, I think on Monday, to pick something up, and she told me that she was a product of
Yep.
Rick Kraus and the,
He was very
his
proud today.
program,
Yep. I
as he
think he
should
even
be.
shed a tear. So.
As he should
Yeah.
be. So it is great. The Explorers is a terrific farm team for the police department, and it's produced some really good officers. So I'm
Yep, it has.
glad to have Officer Emma Bloom join the town of Bel Air.
Very fortunate. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. And Mr. Klein, you weren't in your chair when called on, so you don't get an opportunity to. Any comments, Mr. Klein? No? All right. Commissioners' comments. No? We're all anxious to start the budget process?
I
We
just wanted to,
can't-
I
can't
went to
wait.
that fine arts with my mom on Saturday, and that was really awesome. And it was, there were some great pieces of art there as well. And then our own Marissa Canino had her display, great. My mother bought a lot of the little squirrel. She made all these little squirrel cards, greeting cards and all. But it was fun. So.
Well, the Freedom Truck I thought was really, really impressive. The things that they have done with that, when you walk inside, you would not know you were inside of really a tractor trailer. It's really impressive, the stuff that they have in there. It is so cool to sign the Declaration of Independence. It's so easy. Even a small child can do it. Graham Chismar signed.
I don't think he did it on.
You don't think he had
Baby
some
David
help?
did.
He had some help.
He did a great job, and it's really neat to see, come in and have George Washington, the father of our country, talking to you. It was really, really, I actually looked at some of the things that they did, because they have panels that are like, they make fixed in order to make the sort of rooms that you walk through. And the gentleman that was with the truck said it only takes him like an hour and a half to button it all up and roll out, which I thought was really pretty impressive. But it's kind of like an RV. It's got like slide out portions, and it was very cool. So, and even Baby David couldn't make
Baby
it.
David, he did
couldn't
sign,
cause
yeah.
problems, right?
Yeah, he did something, and it
The
all
whole,
went
the
blank,
Declaration of
and
Independence
I thought I was going to
disappeared.
throw up at one point,
I
but then
thought
they brought it back
They
up.
brought it
but-
back. It's never really gone.
But
It
it
is
was
cool.
one, there's 6 trucks in the United
Yes,
States,
there's
and then
6.
we're the only one in the state of Maryland.
Yes.
That's just, what an honor that
Yes.
is. And I live right down the street from where the Legion is, and it's packed when I drove by a couple times, and even yesterday, but today, beautiful weather, and Cowboy Eats, they've been eating, so.
It is a great, great thing. And, special thanks to Post 39, because they're the ones that applied and brought it here, and they said they had seen it, and they jumped on it like the second it opened and applied, and I think that had something to do with it. Also, the fact that they're Post 39, so, we got it to come here, and it's a real feather in their cap as well as ours. It's really neat. So I'm glad everybody's having a good time at that with the good weather, and Cowboy Eats as a truck out there. All right.
My dad also commented on, he was walking on Main Street on Sunday morning, and he said it was, he came back and he goes, Chris, it was just bustling. I mean, it was just incredible, because they had the Bel Air, the market there, and just, there were so many other things, and, it was really neat.
Go to the market, then the used bookstore, and get lunch, have ice cream. It's a full day. All right. Anybody else? No? It's the budget then. All right, the fiscal year 2027 budget discussion, the enterprise funds. It sounds like Star Trek, but it's really not. It's not that kind of enterprise.
As we've done in the past, Steve and I will tag team the two enterprise funds. So I'm going to start out with talking about revenues and then some expenses, and then I'll turn it over to Steve to talk more about some things in the sewer fund, and we'll do the same with parking. All right, so 208. So as you all know, sewer fund's an enterprise fund. Enterprise funds are supposed to be self-sustaining, self-supporting, pay for themselves, etc. The main revenue source in the sewer fund is the sewer service charges. By code, there is an automatic CPI increase each year that is allowed to be able to be instituted without further legislation. So this year, or in fiscal year 27, we're proposing a kind of a twofold rate increase. The consumer price index of 2.6% increases the rate by 20 cents per 1,000 gallons. But on top of that, I'm also recommending an additional increase of 7.4% for a total of a 10% increase. It may sound like a lot, and I'll go over some numbers with you in a moment. But when you look at what the increase has been in the Harford County bulk rate since fiscal year 22, so we just talked about the fiscal year 26 rate increase, and Steve, this is where I said you kind of alluded to this conversation. That rate has increased 50%. That's a lot in those years. So when the town's rate increase has only been 21. So we're not keeping up with the county rate increase, let alone all the costs of everything else that has to be paid for within this fund. It's been the last time that we increased the rate above and beyond the CPI was fiscal year 14. So it's been 12 years. So I'm proposing an overall, if you will, I just broke it down for you, but an overall 10% increase in the rate. That would mean that the rate would increase from $7.50 per 1,000 to $8.25 per 1,000. The base rate would also increase by the same 10% percentage. Again, ran some numbers for the discussion today, and say a household who has 9,000 gallons of water. That's a month that is a an average for a family of 4 is about 9,000 gallons of water in a month. That annual increase would be $85 per year. So that's why I said 10% sounds like a big number, and it can be a bit of a scary number. But when you break it down, it's roughly $7 a month or $85 a year. And I'm not saying that's not a lot of money. I understand that it is for some households. But when you look at it, I guess, in cumulatively, that we have not done a rate increase above and beyond, and we are nowhere near keeping up with the rate that the county is charging us. We have to start looking at this a little bit further. So when I was putting the budget together this year, I did some additional analysis, and Eddie and I had many conversations about this, and we just thought that, this was the year that we really needed to bite the bullet and bring this before you for discussion. We certainly don't want to continue to get too far behind. The county just continues to raise their rates. I mean, it was a 30-cent increase from 25 to 26 alone. We don't know what those rate increases are going to be from the county. It depends on their costs. It depends on the flows. It just has a lot of variables. But since FY22, like I said, their rate has increased 50%. That's a big number. That's a big number. So, what can I answer?
So has the county been increasing the rates faster than or higher than the CPI over the last couple of years?
To us?
To
or
us.
to their?
To us.
Yes.
So CPI, like,
CPI has nothing to do with their increased rate, so.
right. I know, but you were saying that we've been increasing by the CPI, and I'm just saying and we've only gotten 21% or
Correct.
increase since 22, and
Right.
they've upped ours by almost 50%, 47%. So that means they've been increasing the rates more than the CPI
That's correct.
on average.
And that may
Yeah,
have to
that-
do
Yeah.
with things like what they have to do to treat the water, increasing standards and all that kind of thing that we find in
Right.
potable water too, with PFAS and things, different
Yes.
things in the sewer side, but similar issues that are causing it to be more costly to do that.
Correct.
And I believe the county found themselves in a position where they hadn't adjusted them it was something crazy like 20 years. So then they fell really far behind. And this happened last year, or maybe a few years prior, where they realized, oh crap, we're behind. So that's where the significant increase happened. And then last year they proposed increasing it by like a modest, I think it was a 4% increase over the next few years. And it got political, so they decided to push that off. But I think we can expect that within the next few years for it to increase by, I think, a modest amount, though. 4% was what was proposed at the time.
Yeah, no, you're correct, Gavin. I don't exactly remember when that happened. It was several years ago, and I was having discussions with my previous contact there, Tom Patty, in the department at Harford County. So I think it's been a while. But we would talk about it all the time because he could see the writing on the wall that, he understood it wasn't favorable, but at some point it's going to break, and it broke for them. They went a very long time without any type of rate increases. And then I believe they had some type of step or gradual rate increase. They didn't hit the customers all at one time, but it was a lot more than a 10% rate increase. It was pretty big, if I remember correctly. And I also did call Harford County just to see what their sewer rate currently is. If you're under 32,000 gallons of water, which is really what we're talking about with my example, their rate is $8.98 per 1,000 gallons for their customers. and their base rate is $5.25. Our base rate would go from $3.47 to $3.82. That's for a 5/8 customer, which most residential households are. So we are still, you know, below the county's rate to their customers.
So the proposed increase, and I understand these two things are separate from each other because it's not a pass-through. The proposed increase is about 25 cents higher than what Harford County is increasing on us, right? So we're asking for 55 cents additional, and Harford County's increase was 30 cents. Is that correct?
Well, not exactly,
Okay.
because the rate increase we talked about was fiscal year '26.
Right, sure.
There's going to be another rate increase more than likely in fiscal year '27.
Yeah, got it.
Again, so hard to determine
Yeah.
what the rate is going to be. I
That's an
factored,
important reminder that we don't get this until December, and so we're
Correct.
constantly playing catch-up by a
Correct.
year. That's an important thing to
yes,
remind
thank,
people of.
thank you for bringing that up. In the budget, you know, when I try to factor in the Harford County charges and what amount to budget, you know, I look at the flows in the last 5 years and I take an average, and then I look at their rates and try to be reasonable with it, but sometimes it's tough, because again, it could go either way, right? So I factored in a 3% rate increase that the county would provide with an average, you know, flow. You know, like this year so far in FY '26, we're below last year's flows. That's as of the third quarter. So the more flows we have, the more we're going to pay the county, right, to treat the sewage. So again, there's those two variables that we have absolutely no control over. But looking at history, I don't see where the rate is going to go down. It's going to continue to go up. At what rate? I wish I could tell you. I can't. You know, it's kind of been all over the place. I mean, from FY '22 to '23, it was a whopper. It increased $1.08. 23 to 24 was 41 cents. Then 24 to 25 was 10, and then 25 to 26 was 30. So, you know, it's just, again, all over the place. You really have to wait for their numbers to come in. We've asked them in the past if they could give us some type of estimate, you know, not actual numbers. I understand their audit has to be completed, but could they at least provide us with some estimate? There was some discussion on that, and then it died. They just weren't interested in having further discussions on that. At least that would be able to help us with budgeting better. But we didn't, that conversation did not go anywhere. You know, I mean, overall, our costs, as with everything else, are increasing. I think coupled with that we have not increased anything but the CPI since 2014. I just think it's time that we do this. You know, we want to start to be able to, and let me say this, let's say that we progress down this road, raise it, right, and for whatever reason, their rate either goes down or it's underestimate, the flows are down, so we're not spending as much. I think that's when we start putting money away into that sanitary sewer capital improvement reserve. Steve, you talked about that when, during the conversations with ARPA, and it's great that we have the ARPA money now to take care of these pumping stations that, you know, Steve has been managing with these monies, but what happens when that money, right, goes away? How soon are we gonna need to do that next project? And we haven't been able to put any money aside until just fiscal year 25, but that really had nothing to do with the county. There were some other factors
And those
that
pumping stations are like $1 million, right?
yeah,
Yeah, they're not
yeah. I
They're
mean,
not
no, they're
small
not cheap.
change.
No, one project was almost 1.15, and then the other one was just under $1 million. So yeah, you're spot on. So you know, with me saying that we just don't know what the cost is going to be to treat the sewage from year to year. With this 10% increase, it would allow us that if we didn't utilize those additional revenues to pay for our expenses, because they were less, then those monies go into the capital reserve, if you will, similar to what we're doing in the general fund. And we make use of those funds when we have capital projects. And so it's not a waste. And truly, the rate really should be paying something for capital anyway. And we have not been able to do that because we've been trying to keep it bare bones. And I don't think we can keep it bare bones anymore. I think we're doing a disservice because there's going to come a point in time, if we don't, that we're going to be like Harford County. And we're just not going to have a choice. And I'd like to see us do it now, and then see how things progress.
A little pain now to put off like the giant shock in the future, sort of a thing.
Yes. I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking. And in all honesty, you know, probably should have taken a look at this before now. But I'm seeing a pattern with the county now. You know, as before, it would go up, it would go down, it would go up, it would go down. And sometimes the variation was small enough. I'm not seeing anything going down, and I'm just continuing to see it going up. So I'm starting really to feel uneasy about this. That's why I think we need to do something about it now.
So Lisa, if I got your numbers right, even still with this rate increase, if we go 10%, we're still paying less than the county. You were
Yeah.
saying the base rate is $5.25 for the county and we're $3.82, and then they were like, what, $8.95 per 1,000 gallons, and we're 8.25.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still lower than a county resident.
We are still lower than the county rate for
Right.
county residents. That's correct.
And then, I don't, 9,000 gallons, we were doing all that water. When we were doing the Maryland American Water thing, we were doing all those test cases, see what the water bills are gonna be with the rate increases they were proposing. I thought 9,000 is a lot. That's real high. I thought we were more family 5 to 6. I'm just,
I
so,
know,
and I'm just saying,
I-
9,000 is only $7 a month, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking more like like
Well,
half of that,
so-
so it's
so-
gonna be
Right. I
So-
use
3 or 4.
I use 3,000 a month often, so sometimes 2, sometimes 3.
Yep, so 3,000 is $31.20. 5,000 is $49.20
A year.
a year,
A year, right.
a year,
Yeah, so,
not a month.
right.
So, yeah, when I was working on this today, preparing,
Right.
I just Googled it and thought, okay, let's just see what, you know, is out there, and it had 9,000, but I ran all kinds of numbers to
Right.
have
Yeah,
for
well-
you. But, yeah, just, again, those 3,000 and 5,000 just gives you another flavor
Right.
for the rate.
I know when we were looking at that, I Googled that, and they said 9,000 was the average Maryland water consumption for average household. I'm like, we looked at everybody's bills that I knew, and nobody was near 9,000
Yeah.
gallons a
I-
month, so
I-
anyway.
My daughter maybe I think she was, because I remember talking to
Oh, was she?
Steve, and I
Okay.
thought her bill was a lot, but he said it really wasn't, particularly for a family of 6. There's 2 adults, mom and dad, and then 4 kids. So I thought, it seemed like a big number to me, but it's
Yeah.
a bigger household, and Steve said actually for the size of the household, they were
Probably
really,
wouldn't
they were not, they should take more baths because it was kind of low.
Yeah.
So it's,
It probably is high. Before I even Googled it, I just took the, file that we get from Maryland American, and I just scanned the usage column for gallons, because we've got 3 units of measure with Maryland American right now, so it's a little crazy. But I try to keep it at gallons, so I didn't have to do the conversion. But most of the time, what I was seeing was 5 and below. You'd have the unusual at 7,000, some at 9. Again, residential, not apartments, not, commercial, but trying to keep it
We don't
from,
want to look at what IBC's bill is, because that's big. They use a lot of water. Yeah,
Say teenagers, when you have teenagers.
teenagers.
It's a
Leaky
lot
toilets.
of
My one
water,
big
yeah.
water bill from Maryland American was, I had some toilets that were leaking when I wasn't looking, and they needed to be repaired, and then the bill went down to normal.
Yep.
But you'll see those outliers,
Correct,
6
correct.
or 7,000 gallons.
Yep, exactly. What else can I answer?
Do
On
we
that,
have
on
any,
this, because I'm not done yet with the sewer fund, but anyway.
do we have any idea of what the current balance of the capital fund is?
Yep.
Or the reserve?
I have that somewhere, just bear with me a minute. I got a lot of papers.
And while Lisa's looking for that, I'll just say, I hate to see any increases, but I feel the need to be responsible and not kick the can down the road and just leave the problem for someone else. And the worst thing that we could ever do is when a pumping station needs a huge repair or a replacement of $1 million to not have money to do that, because we will have to do it right away, and that'll mean borrowing money. So we want to be proactive and have a plan, because it's, it can't be an emergency if it's something that is, is going to happen. It's like your water heater's eventually going to go, so you just need to have money to pay for it.
Yeah, as of the end of fiscal year '25, you remember we transferred like $250,000 to that reserve. So right now, it's just shy of $429,000. But Steve's going to talk about a project when he gets to his section, about a project that's in the budget that I had originally cut, that looks like we may be able to fund now. And without really trying to confuse you guys, because it's accounting. And it kind of goes back to ARPA. So if in FY '26, we will be recognizing the rest of the sewer fund's ARPA money. The money that, or the projects that money was used for are considered capital in nature. Because it's an enterprise fund, we don't expense capital items. They get moved to an asset on the balance sheet, depreciated, and that depreciation expense. Like with these pumping stations, we're gonna basically depreciate almost $2 million over 50 years. So that's how those capital projects get expensed over the years. But because you are recognizing the revenue from ARPA all in one fiscal year, basically, and you have no offsetting expense, it's gonna make it look like you had a tremendous year with revenues over expenses. So when we get to the budget amendment for FY '26, you're gonna see this. And what I'm gonna recommend to you all is that we put all of that money into the capital reserve. That will give you a great start at what you need for future capital projects that Steve will have coming down the road. It doesn't make sense to do anything else with that money. And really, when you think about it, they were capital, and that money coming in from ARPA really paid for projects that were capital in nature. So let's put it back where it belongs and utilize it for future years. So I don't want to get too far down that road, but I just want to mention that to you, especially since we're talking about the capital reserve. So I've got that waiting in the wing to go over with you with the budget amendment too. Just trying to keep things going that, a source of money so we don't have to borrow money. Yeah, let's not do that if we don't have to. You know, that's just additional interest costs. And that's what we've had to do, Steve and I have had to do over the years. You know, once we get into the budget, you'll see debt service. We've had to borrow money for capital projects in the sewer fund because we haven't had money in that capital reserve to use it. So in this direction with what we're talking about, we will, which I think is a great step forward.
It was a lot better time to borrow back then, too.
Yes, it was. That is true. That is true. So, are you all comfortable with what I've talked about and recommending with the sewer service charges?
I think it makes sense, and I like that we're still under what the county is charging.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's, you know, even at the 9,000 gallon rate, it's only a $7 increase, and I think we're gonna be splitting that in half. I think for most,
Yeah.
80–90% of our customers in town are gonna be paying probably half of that. So it's not that much of a burden to
Right.
pay now, so we don't have to pay in the future.
Exactly. So the way that that rate structure will be, I guess, structured is the CPI, it'll stay in the budget as it is. However, I'll have to bring before you all an ordinance that will change the sewer rate, because we're asking for a rate increase above and beyond the automatic CPI. So it'll be twofold. I probably won't do that until the June 1st meeting, so it'll be introduced June 1st, public hearing the second meeting in June. It will be effective, of course, 21 days after that, which will be fine from a timing perspective from our July 25th billing. So we'll still be able to start that with our July 25th billing. Okay. All right. I'm going to continue then. Still on page 208. The other revenue account 0100. The majority of that $22,000 is when we submit our bay restoration fee to the state. They allow us to keep 5% for our administrative costs, you know, any of our direct costs. But it also includes our tax sale auction fees and then plan review fees that are a requirement in the sewer fund. The next account, 0101, is the utility locator fees. We're estimating the budget to be almost $23,000. It is a $35 charge for new markings and a $15 charge for remarks. We bill this through our accounts receivables system and finance, but Public Works sends us the information.
And that's something we
To
didn't
bill.
do 3 years ago, or 4 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah, what was that?
So it's something new, which
Yep.
it's worked out really well, I think.
Yep.
at least.
Yeah,
To the
agreed.
tune of $22,700.
Agreed.
right?
Yes,
Does
absolutely.
take a lot of our time.
It does. Connection fees, you'll see on the expense side too. These next two accounts, connection fees and user benefit fees. These are two pass-throughs to Harford County. Connection fees, we collect for new sewer connections to the system. Again, this is based on the Harford County fee that changes every year in that fee schedule, which we'll be doing soon, next month. The $50,000 is just, it's what we budget every year, but it's an in and out, so what the revenue is what the expense is. It has no meaning, actually, within the budget. Sometimes it's higher than 50, sometimes it's lower than 50. And then the user benefit fees, again, are a pass-through as well. These are billed based on the increase in the number of new connections in FY '26. They're billed for the first time in fiscal year '27. They're billed for 25 years, and it's a direct pass-through to the county as well. The only unfortunate, well, there's many unfortunate parts about this. The first one is we do all the work, all the administrative work, all the costs, and we get nothing for it from the county. The second is the county, we bill, all of these, accounts in July. The county then bills us for past years and the current year. We have to pay that by September 30th. But there's almost always times where, right now, we're in the middle of tax sale, and we still have half a dozen or 10 accounts still outstanding, but we've already paid the county. So if we can't get people to pay, they stay on our books as a receivable, but we've already paid the county, which, not really how things are supposed to work, but they do in this case. This was something that was agreed on the town and the county before I came on board. So it's a pretty old kind of agreement. Then the last account I just want to go over with you is on page 209. This is a new one in the sewer fund. But let me explain. So it's kind of similar to what I talked about with capital projects. Steve's going to talk about a vehicle that he has in the budget. However, so in the budget it shows an expense. Again, what I talked about, it's capital, it's not an expense. It's going to be, it's budgeted that way for budgeting purposes, but for accounting purposes, it will not show as an expense. It'll show as an asset. You'll depreciate it. You'll see that depreciation come through, probably about $4,000 a year till it's fully depreciated. So in order for the budget not to look kind of lopsided, that you have an $80,000 expense and you're not funding that through with a revenue, for budgeting purposes, we're just showing that we're taking that $80,000 from retained earnings, even though we're not really doing that, but we have to show a source of revenue to pay for that expense that's showing in the budget. When you get to the audit, you're not going to see that $80,000 on the income statement as an expense. Hence, we will not take it from retained earnings. I hope that makes some sense. It's
It
I
does
know
not.
it's crazy. It is crazy.
I'm just going to
You-
take your word for it.
You just have to trust me, and I know I say that when I'm leaving soon, but it's just a way of on paper showing that we're paying for that $80,000 vehicle as an expense, even though it's truly not an expense.
So,
I
so
know.
how are we paying for it? Just,
I mean, you just have, I mean, it's coming from
Operating?
cash.
yeah, okay.
It's just coming from cash.
Just coming from cash,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So we have the money for it,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
I understand that. Okay.
Yeah, okay, all right. All right, I'm gonna move on to expenses. Just have a few to go over, and then, again, I'll turn it over to Steve, who I know is just waiting patiently. 218, on 218, insurance 0215. This covers the cost of the insurance for our 3 vehicles, our 9 pump stations, our no-fault insurance, and our relation to the sewer backups, any other insurance claims for the sewer backups that come about during the year, and we are estimating a 10% rate increase based on what Legit has provided us. So that budget's a little over $11,000. On the bottom of page 218, that's where the connection payments are on the expense side that I mentioned earlier on the revenue side. On page 219, at the very top, Harford County charges. I've kind of already gone over that already. Middle of the page are the user benefit fee payments, which again I mentioned on the revenue side, so this is the corresponding expense. At the bottom of page 219 are processing fees, $32,500. This is the cost of outsourcing the printing and mailing of our monthly utility bills. We mail approximately 29,000 bills a year. And so it covers the cost of the paper, the processing fee, the mailing service, the postage, and the envelopes. Their fee has not increased, I want to say, in the last 8 to 10 years. So that's a good deal.
Have we looked at going paperless?
Oh, we encourage that, but, you know, we send out about, I don't know how many bills it is, but we have people signing up for paperless every month. But it's not a requirement. Like, we are not forcing people to sign up for paperless. You get the option. But we do encourage e-bills. My staff does a great job, especially if somebody calls and says, well, I didn't get my bill in the mail. Well, if you signed up for e-bill, then you know you're going to get your bill. So we try to encourage that, but we don't make it a requirement.
Would that reduce that bill much? If people went e-bill rather than, if they went paperless?
If everybody went,
Yeah, I mean,
e-bill?
Does it reduce it that much? Yeah.
if we made it a requirement, then that would go away. We would save 100% of that.
Oh, really?
It's really hard to do
Yeah.
that
It's not the
because
labor?
not
Okay.
everybody, you
Correct.
know.
Right.
There are some people that probably come up here with a money order or cash and pay their bills. It's, you know, it really is. I personally love e-bill. Anybody that's listening, sign up for e-bill, sign
Yeah.
up for automatic payment. I never have to worry
Yep.
about that
Encourage that
again. And
too.
it doesn't really go up and down that much, so it's not like I'm going to get surprised with a
Right.
giant bill or anything. And I just find it's one of those, I'm going to pay the bill, so
Yeah.
I just let it roll automatically, and I love the convenience of it. But not everybody is comfortable with that. I know some people that are not comfortable with paying any of their bills on auto pay.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, so
Yeah.
I think we need to sort of stick with the system we have.
Yeah, and we
Right.
just keep pushing it, keep encouraging it. You
As
know,
the
when-
years go by, I think we'll see more and more people on the
And we-
automatic payment and
Yep,
the e-bill.
And we are.
Yeah.
We are. We see an increase in both of those. So I think that's all that we can do.
Yeah.
Honestly, in the coming years, you could probably get away with just grandfathering people in and saying, after such and such a date, all customers of the town will be e-bill. I'm not suggesting that we do that, but
You mean all new customers?
new customers,
Yeah,
yes.
okay,
And
you
I
said all
mean,
customers.
if
Yeah,
you got,
new
if you want your
customers.
paper bill, you like your paper bill, you can keep your paper
Right.
bill. But, starting after this date, not saying that we should do that, but there's a reason why more and more people are, I know that when
It's just convenient.
I know that when I signed up to pay for it, immediately went to e-bill. I've never received a paper bill because,
Yeah.
So,
You
but
you don't go back before paper bills. See, I go back to when there was no other option other
Right,
than
and
a
that's
bill
what I
in the
mean.
mail.
Mhm.
And I get that. I'm not sure if legally, as a governmental entity, we could require everybody to sign up for e-bill. Maybe, I don't know, like Social Security payments and things are all
Yeah.
direct deposit, but
It could be mandated from state to state.
yeah.
Because I know other states, there are other states, just from going to my national conferences, where it's all e-bill. So I think it might be a state.
Maybe if we had the state say that we
Legislation.
could do it, then perhaps we could mandate it.
Mhm.
But I just,
Right.
I think the juice isn't worth the squeeze. I think we have an older and
Mhm.
poorer population in town than
Mhm.
outside of town. And I think that it would just be so upsetting to,
Yeah.
all those folks. I wouldn't even attempt it, although I encourage everybody to do it because it's convenient and nothing can get lost in the mail.
Right.
Not that your bill to me or my payment to you.
I know.
So
Yeah.
it works.
Exactly. Well, we'll keep
fabulously.
promoting as we've
Right.
been doing, and we've continued to see an increase.
And the other nice thing about it is if you go online to pay, there's a fee. But
Mhm.
when you sign up for the e-bill, there
Mhm.
is no fee.
Mm-mm.
So that's,
Yep.
because I would never make an electronic payment that costs me money,
Yeah.
so, unless I absolutely had to. So
Yep.
it's, maybe we could have David promote that a little bit on our website with a link where people can sign up for it.
We can
'cause-
certainly do that. I know we did it last year. We
Mhm.
try to do it once a year.
Yeah,
So, yep, we can certainly
or
do
stick
that.
it in with the paper bills or something, because
Yep,
it's the way to.
absolutely.
I heard Commissioner Foss say she's still a paper bill.
Oh.
We'll be discussing that after the meeting, Commissioner Foss.
Demerits.
Demerits.
All right, moving on to page 220. Middle of the page, the miscellaneous account 0700 works very similar to this account in the general fund, in that we have $2,000 budgeted for unexpected expenses, and then the 2.9% cost of living is budgeted here for our 2 full-time sewer employees. Account at the bottom, 0906, the debt service for inflow and infiltration. This is one that, again, mentioned earlier with us having to borrow money for I&I projects. The interest is only $688, but the principal payments are $40,000. But the good news is the final payment is coming soon in fiscal year '27. This debt will be paid off. On page 221, we talked about the transfer from sanitary sewer capital improvement. That balance again for 2025 was $428,737. The next account down, 1003, is the transfer to general fund. Again, this account accounts for reimbursing the general fund for housing the majority of the personnel costs, the overhead costs, and the benefit costs, that if it was a standalone business, it would have to pay all of these on its own. And that is $472,000. And then depreciation, again, is based on actual costs for 25 and projected for 26 and 27. It is an increase from fiscal year 26 solely due to the 2 pumping station projects, because then we'll start to depreciate them in FY 27 for the next 50 years. Okay. All right. That's all that I have. I'll turn it over to Steve.
Okay. Of course, I take care of the operations and the expenses of operating the system. The town system is made up of approximately 40 miles of sewer mains, 1,041 manholes, 13 pump station, and collects nearly 1 million gallons of sewage a day. The system is primarily operated by our 2 guys, Wayne Smith and Steve Green, 365 days a year. The regular costs to operate the systems include Wayne and Steve's salaries, and the utilities to run the pump stations, which cost $19,300. Equipment maintenance and supplies, which runs around $26,500. We do a root control program every year to kill the roots that grow into the sewer lines and cause backups at $45,000. And then if there should be a main or a lateral break that needs repair, we have set aside monies in the amount of $35,000 for those. In addition, it costs us to operate the Miss Utility program about $3,700 to mark the sewer lines when anybody wants to dig. So several of the main items that I want to talk about today are just 3, other than the regular expenses I just explained. The first one is actually not even in your book. It is on page 219, I believe. 219, and it's account 8400-0303, and it's pump station engineering. This is a new item I learned about today, actually. In the year's proposed budget, this item was just in this year's budget. This is to design and upgrade for the Kelly pump station, Kelly Avenue pump station. So what we would do is design and upgrade like we just upgraded the Shamrock and the Gateway pump stations. This would be the design and what we need to do to upgrade that pump station to bring it into another 30, 40-year cycle. The requested budget amount is $165,000. This was scheduled to be done this fiscal year, FY 26, but we were waiting to get Harford County bulk rate before we proceeded. And then it got too late after we got the bulk rate, so now we just, rather than not be able to complete it in this year, we're just gonna roll it into the FY 27 budget. Any questions on that project?
I just want to interject, if I can,
Yes.
Steve. So we're gonna, how are we gonna fund that? Because it's not in the budget, right? We're gonna use capital reserve in the sewer fund to fund this project, because as I mentioned, in FY 26, we're going to roll kind of that excess ARPA money, revenue over expense, into the reserve. So we have money to do this project now.
So that's gonna eat 175 of the 250?
I'm sorry, say that again?
That's gonna eat 175,000 of the 250,000 that we moved over? Is that right?
No, because we're gonna be transferring, when I do the budget amendment,
Uh-huh.
we're gonna be moving over $1 million into the capital reserve.
Okay, for some reason I thought it was 250,000. Okay.
You're right. We moved at the end of fiscal year 25's
Uh-huh.
audit, we moved 250,000 into the capital reserve.
Yeah.
Steve has a project in this budget that I removed that we're now gonna reinstate.
I see.
That he hasn't gotten to
So
yet.
that's that.
Correct.
I-
That we're gonna use that,
got
and
it.
then this is above and beyond that I know we have money in the reserve to be able to fund
Sure.
this.
Okay.
Thank you, Lisa. So moving on to what Lisa was just exactly talking, on page 220, the 8400-0803 that is crossed out. I was called this afternoon and says, we're going to put it back in. So we got it back in, and we're really excited about that because we really need to line this section of sewer main. It's a 15-inch sanitary sewer main, and it runs from Atwood Road all the way over to Route 24. It's in a wooded area, has a stream going through it. The approximately 1,200 linear foot of section of sewer main will be cleaned, cameraed, and lined with an interior liner, so it won't have to be dug up or anything. This project will repair and extend the life of this section of sanitary sewer main. In addition, it will prevent tree roots from entering the main and prevent inflow and infiltration. Again, the number you were just referring, Jake, $250,000. Any
And
questions on that one?
can you describe the route that it will take?
Can I explain the route?
Yeah,
Where it's
like
located?
yes.
Okay, so you know where the professional center is?
Yes.
On Atwood Road across from those apartments?
Yes.
So it goes basically from there in those woods,
Uh-huh.
over behind the diner, over to 24.
Okay.
We have a sewer that
So it's sort
runs
of a
through there.
diagonal.
What? Yes.
It's a diagonal line.
Yes, and
Okay.
it runs back in those woods through
Because I'm thinking to myself, wow, it sounds like they're going to be digging up the Target parking lot, but that makes more sense. The
Yeah.
diagonal line makes
there.
more
We're
sense.
not digging up anything. What
Sure.
happens is we actually go
Sure.
into a manhole,
Right.
and we shoot an inverted sock of fiberglass. It heats it up, and it adheres to the existing pipe, and makes basically a brand-new pipe without having to dig anything up.
That is incredible.
Yeah. It's a really neat process, and if you're interested, I'll let you know when they're doing it, and we'll bring you out there and take a
I would
peek
love
at
to
it.
see it. Please
Yeah.
do.
Okay, that's for sure. We've done quite a bit of it, not for probably the last 8 to 10 years, but we've done quite a few sections in town in our regular 8-inch lines. This one, of course, is a lot bigger. It's a 15-inch line, and it's a concrete pipe, so it's good that we do this.
Isn't
And-
this something that we did over off McCormick? I think there were some pipes over
Yeah,
there
I think
that
so.
they leaned, because there were some drainage problems over there,
Yeah.
and part of the problem was like the pipes
Yeah.
were in such
I can't-
not great shape.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. The one that really rings my bell is over off of Hall Street. We did some
Mhm.
work over there before, too.
So my question is, this was originally in the budget, then it was struck from the budget? Was in the draft budget, then it was taken out? Because it's struck through.
Yes, it was,
Okay.
Steve originally
I
proposed
put it in.
I couldn't fund it. But
Okay.
then after the audit was done for 25,
Okay,
the results from that allowed us to be able to do this through capital reserve.
okay.
So we're putting it back in.
So the original requested budget amount of 250 was originally going to come from capital reserve, but you're like, we don't have enough money?
No, we didn't have enough in capital reserve to
Okay.
do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now we do.
Now we do.
And finally, the last thing that I'd like to talk about sewer today is on page 220, account number 8400-086, vehicles capital. We would like to fund the purchase of a new sewer van to replace the existing 2014 Chevy 2500 van. The van is used daily by the sanitary sewer department to perform regular routine maintenance and assist with emergency response calls. The requested amount is $80,000. And that's it for me with my stuff, unless anyone has any questions.
I was just wondering, what's the mileage on the 2014?
currently have that. Let me see.
And is this coming out of general fund or?
No,
cap-
sewer fund.
Sewer fund?
And is that a typo where we say the estimated resale value is 4 to 80,000? Or is,
No, estimated value is 4,000 for the sale of it, and 80,000 is the cost. So
Okay.
when we sell it at auction, we hope
Yeah.
to get 4,000.
okay, it says an estimated value of 4 to 80,000,
Yeah.
but I gotcha. Okay,
No.
that's quite the range.
And Paula, I do not have that number in the budget, but I can get that for you.
Thank you.
Yep.
And Steve, will that will include all the costs associated with outfitting the new van with the tools and supplies and
Yeah, they
everything?
basically will be moving, taking them out from the old one and putting them in the new one, like the racks and things.
So, yeah, the
Yeah,
storage
yeah.
racks and cabinets or
Yeah,
whatever's all
yeah.
inside.
There might
will-
be a few little odds and ends new that they need, because of the difference in
Right.
size or something like that, but majority, yes, Steve.
Okay.
So then the van itself is actually the bulk of that 80,000 then?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Wow.
van itself.
All right. Admittedly, I'm not up on the van market right now,
No, I
so.
tell you, it's unbelievable.
And we're buying new.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
And that's a one-ton van, that's why it's a little more
Mhm.
expensive.
Any further questions on sewer fund? All right, we're gonna move on to parking then. Page 227. So revenues, again, three main sources of revenues in the parking fund. The first one being meter collections. We're projecting $129,000 for revenue. The latest FY '26 projection is $128,500. So this budget was created using the FY '26 projection. So I think 129 is still a good number. Parking fines is the second, again, based on FY '26, which is now projected to be almost 140,000. We're projecting FY '27 to be 135. Hopefully, we can get a parking enforcement person, because that makes a lot of difference when you only have one out in the field. Leased fees is our third main source of revenue. Our projected revenue for FY '27 is $73,321. The numbers that you see there on that justification were as of when the budget was put together. Some of those have changed, slightly, but our '26 updated projection is now 76,000, so we may see a little bit more money in that for FY '27, but it could also go the other way. That's why we kind of look at it at one point in time and stick with it, because it's going to ebb and flow, right? So those are the three main sources of revenue that we bring in. And then we have the county share of operations and capital, which are your next two accounts. Again, as you all know, the county's pays for 67.2% of the operating expenses for the parking garage, such as insurance, maintenance costs, the pro rata share of general fund. The engineering conditional assessment is in here this year that Steve will review with you. And then the debt on the parking garage sweeper. So that projected revenue is $156,356. And then the county share of capital, the next account, within the MOU between the town and the county, we agreed to put in $15,000 a year to the capital reserve. It's of course split 2/3, third. So their share, or the projected revenue here is a little over 10,000. The balance in that account is just a little over $178,000. And both parties have to agree to use that reserve before it's touched on a project. The last account in revenue is the transfer from retained earnings. This $137,889 basically says that we're not bringing in enough revenue to fund our expenses, so we have to take it from equity. We've talked about that in the past. We're still continuing down that road. That is the number that needed to balance the budgets, and that's what we're short on the revenue side. Okay. Moving to expenses. On page 231, the budget is broken down in 3 sections on the expense side with other, which I'm going to go over next. And then also there's a parking garage as well as lots. Again, we do that because of the 2/3, 1/3 split with the county. We have to keep our parking garage expenses separate for the audit, for the ease of the audit and reimbursement of the 67.2%. On page 231, the first one I'd like to discuss is account 0302, which is the parking fine charges. This account reflects a 19% collection fee that we pay to Passport for the processing of our parking tickets. So it's based on what we're paid, not on what's billed. The contract was just renewed in April, and it's a 2-year contract with 3 subsequent annual renewals, and that budget is a little over $25,000. Account 0903 is the debt service on the parking enforcement vehicle. Interest is only $39. Principal payments is totals $3,157. This debt will be paid off in fiscal year 28. And then depreciation, very similar to the sewer fund. Depreciation is based on whether you have additional capital improvements. The majority of that depreciation amount, of course, is the parking garage, and the budget is a little over $132,000. Moving on to page 232, this is the lots and meters section. The only account I'll point out is the 1001 account, which is transferred to general fund lots. Just like the sewer fund works, parking fund is an enterprise fund, should pay for itself. It reimburses the general fund for those personnel, benefit, and overhead costs to the tune of $228,000. On page 233 is where the parking garage section of the expenses start. The top line, 0215, is the insurance for the parking garage. This line covers the cost of the property, the liability, the garage keeper's insurance, as well as the parking garage sweeper, and overall Legit's preliminary rate for these types of insurance, which is mainly property and auto, is 5.7%, or the budget is $40,538. At the bottom is the expense side of the capital repairs for the parking garage. The total, again, $15,000 a year, with the county's portion being $10,080, which you saw on the revenue side. The next account is the debt service for the parking garage, JCI. That was the retrofit to the lights. The budget is interest only at $876. Principal payments, which show against the liability on the balance sheet, is $5,250. And we have a little ways to go before this debt is paid off in fiscal year 32. On page 234, another debt service account for the parking garage sweeper. $8 is the interest that we'll pay. The last principal payment will be $3,423 against, again, the liability on the balance sheet, but this debt will be paid off in this fiscal year 27. And then the next and last account, 1,002, is again the transfer to general fund, but on the parking garage side. So it works just like the other two that I mentioned, but this is strictly attributable to parking garage. And with that, I'll turn it over to Steve.
I'm going to be real quick on these. On page 232, the first two accounts on that is operating expense for lots and maintenance of lots. We've included $9,509 to maintain and operate the public parking lots in town. Is there any questions? That includes signs, patching, seal coating, painting lines, and that type of thing to basically maintain, our lots, as well as take care of the maintenance of the parking meters. Moving along. Of course, we all know the parking garage has approximately 1,010 spaces and 2 elevators and requires regular inspection and maintenance. The regular day-to-day operating cost is budgeted at $59,958. This includes the cost of an elevator maintenance contract for the 2 elevators in the garage, all the utilities to operate the garage, the signs, sweeper brushes for the sweeper, light bulbs, replacing light bulbs, etc. So the elevators are cleaned daily during the week, and the garage is swept and vacuumed from top down approximately 26 times each year. On page 233, account number 940431, I'm requesting funding to perform a comprehensive condition assessment of the parking garage by a professional engineering firm that specializes in parking structure evaluations. The assessment will include a full inspection of the facility, updated chloride testing, building upon the previous testing conducted in 2010. This evaluation will provide insight into how the structure has performed since prior repairs and identify any deterioration or emerging issues. Once we get that assessment performed, the results of the assessment will then be used to develop a targeted near-term maintenance and repair program. The requested budget amount is $18,000 for that assessment. And that's all I really have.
So what's chloride testing for the parking garage?
That tests how much salt is getting into the concrete.
Okay,
And which is a bad thing, because when salt gets into the concrete, there's a lot of metal that you don't see in the concrete, and that salt causes corrosion, which breaks down basically the whole facility is steel and concrete.
gotcha.
So it's a big deal.
And then the requested budget amount is 18,000. Is the county going to share in that?
Yes.
Okay.
They would do their 2/3 share. And I
So
got
this
this
is the-
estimate from a company by the name of Desmond Associates,
Mhm.
and they provided the last one.
Mhm.
So I'll have to work with procurement, but I would love to utilize them again, because they have all the information from the
From
last
first
time they
time.
did the study, and they were really, really great to work with, not only for the assessment, but also during the actual repair project that was about $800,000
Wow.
that they were on site and made sure that the contractor did everything properly. But really, the repairs that they made back then, I've been really keeping a close eye on them, and they've really held up well. So I'm confident that I think the parking garage is in pretty good shape.
Okay. And with the budgeted amount being 18,000, like 2/3 of that would be the county's and 1/3 of that would be ours?
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha. Total cost of 18, thank you.
Yes.
I thought the parking garage was a big expense reason why we're kind of in the hole on the parking fund. But according to you're saying, if I'm reading this right, the lots and meters, when you say the transfer for general fund for lots is $228,000 to take care of all the overhead associated with the personnel and everything to run all the lots. And the parking garage is only $110,000. So the lots are costing us more than the garage. Am I reading that right?
Yep. which helps the general fund greatly.
Well, I thought it's really but then we have to end up paying that at the end, don't we? I mean, the general fund, aren't we,
Yeah, but the
We
general fund's
are-
being funded through the parking operations.
right, but the parking
our time and
operations
things of
in
that nature.
general is costing us money, right? Aren't we putting in about 110, 120,000 a year? Because the parking fund is at a loss? Yeah. Is at a loss?
Yes, the revenues aren't sufficient enough to cover the expenses.
Right.
Yep. I know when we spoke last about the parking fund in general, there was some discussion on, well, are there expenses that can be cut? I mean, Steve can answer that question better than I, but I don't see where, there's not many in here to cut, right? It's just that we haven't, our revenues have not, are
Yeah.
not keeping up with our expenses. So I did email you all the updated analysis. And if I can find my notes. You all had also asked, when was the last time that we increased fines? It was July of 2023. The last time that we changed lease fees was in January of 2018. And they were actually decreased. The reason they were decreased is because our thoughts were, well, if you made it cheaper, they will come, right? Lower the price on something and maybe you'll entice parkers. But then COVID hit, and we really took a hard hit.
Right.
I wasn't able to find the last legislation that changed our meter rates. It's been a really long time. I know at one point in time, the garage was 25 cents an hour. Everything's 50
Yeah, I remember
cents.
that, yeah.
So I don't ever remember anything else ever changing on the meter
Lisa,
side. Yes.
Can you help me with something
I will
on
try.
the worksheet, page 230? Transfer to general fund parking garage is identified as 9,9400, 1,001, and lots are identified as 1,002. But in our book, in the justification, that's reversed.
Oh,
So can you get some clarification on that?
yep. Let's see.
What do you,
Give me a second to look.
1,001 and 1,002? Yes. That's the way they're in. Back here. 228,
So look on page
So-
2. Yeah, go ahead.
The parking garage is definitely, it is correct on page 230.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
The dollar figures match, it's just the account numbers don't match.
Yep, the account
Oh,
numbers
the
are
account
just,
numbers are
yeah, the
perfect.
1,001 on page 232 should be 1,002.
Okay, so,
okay.
all right. So the dollar figures are in fact correct, it's just the account numbers that are switched?
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
I went back and looked at the pro rata calculation, which is on page 235. And the 110 is parking garage burden, and the 228 is the lots burden.
Okay.
Yep, I'll make that change.
So so the spreadsheet is correct in terms of the account numbers. It's the verbiage charts, the verbiage pages have them backwards.
Correct,
Okay.
yes. So, moving forward, and this will be something that Rachel and I have already talked about this in general. But we'll have some future discussions next month about it. But my recommendation is there should be some discussion as to obviously what to do.
The problem is, those transfers aren't exactly things that even if we were to wave a magic wand and get rid of all of our lots, for instance, it's not like that $200,000 really goes away. Because the way that I understand it is we're kind of just, by doing this, we're saving the general fund money. Those people are still going to work those hours. We're still going to pay them their salary. We just don't have a reason to expense it to the parking fund. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, they would fill in other duties.
Right, and so then we're just getting it out of the general fund, which obviously would be a problem.
So, yeah, the general fund would not have that as a revenue coming in
Right.
to the fund.
Right.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yes, because you've got the parking and sewer fund that are reimbursing the general fund because those personnel, the benefits associated with the overhead associated with it, would then have to be paid 100% out of the general fund.
Right.
Right? Sewer fund aside for a second, because that's fine, but just thinking about parking fund, yes, it would have to find another source of revenue.
Yes. I guess
Really.
the point that I'm making is that is not truly an expense to the town in the same way that something in the general fund is an expense to the town.
It's not hard dollars going out the
Right.
door,
Yeah.
right? It's an expense to that fund because it's supposed to be self-sustaining. And it doesn't have those, costs in that fund if it were a standalone company. If it was parking fund company,
Right.
it would have personnel, it would have benefits,
Certainly.
it would have a building, it would have maintenance, it would have, all those items. It doesn't, because all those are housed in the general fund. So yes, you are correct in the thought process here, yes. Not looking to solve anything or today, but I wanted to make sure I got you all the updated spreadsheet, so you had it. And then answered those questions on, when was the last time that we increased, the lease, the meters and the fine. So I think certainly there's a lot to look at, a lot to discuss. And Rachel will be here to do that. I'll make sure of it. But this is, if there's anything else that I can provide to you all, I will, if you have any other questions.
My one question is, I know, apparently have we lost a parking person, Mike, because now we're posted for one?
Internal promotion.
Internal promotion, got it. Okay, so we currently have the open slot is the parking person. And the parking people, where do they live in the budget? Not in the parking garage, but in the police department?
Police department.
Police department,
Yep.
okay.
Mhm. Correct. Any other questions on parking for right now? Okay. I have not, and I think Michael made you all aware of this, but I have not made the county aware that we have the assessment in the budget. I generally would do that with any type of capital or major repair work. I would correspond with Aaron Schaefer. So I have not done that yet with everything else going on. I don't know if you all want me to do that. I'm happy to do that because that would be generally what I would do every year.
And what are you talking about, the assessment?
the conditional assessment.
The engineering for $18,000, okay.
Yep, anything that's really kind of above and beyond the normal expenses in the parking garage, I always have let her know ahead of time, just so, again, it's not a surprise, and things have never been a surprise to them, because we've always had that type of relationship.
I lean towards doing what we always do, as far as the parking garage. I
Okay.
know there is, ongoing litigation, but we are co-owners in the
Yep.
garage and need to
Yep.
work together on maintenance items, expenses, and,
Yep.
whatever else is going. This may be, and probably is maybe something that if we get a parking garage, like work group, that may be something that they want to address.
Mhm.
Do we need one? When do we know it? What does it need to address? That kind of thing. But that's
Right.
kind of not so much a budget topic
Right.
today,
Right.
but a topic that we'll need to think about. But I'm kind of for just let them know like we always would.
All right, I'll send her an email tomorrow.
And I see Mr. Klein is raising his
Yes,
hand.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to let you know that I have been in conversation with Steve Walsh, Deputy Director of Public Works for Harford County, and we've discussed this. I've told him that I've gotten a good estimate on getting the condition assessment done, so he knows that it probably will be forthcoming.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah,
Which
so
I
what-
think is a
But you
good
can-
idea. We need to work
Yeah.
with our partners in the garage.
So what I'll do is I'll just shoot Aaron an email, and I'll base it off really what Steve just mentioned.
Right.
Just wanting to make sure
Keep
you're
them
in the
aware.
loop.
Right.
And let it go with
Exactly.
that.
Keep it
Okay.
where we're putting it in the budget, but we're not executing it until we go through the process with them, right?
In all
Which is-
likelihood, yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna,
Yeah.
we're not gonna execute until, because the agreement we have with the parking garage is we have to both agree on things before we do them, right?
Yes.
Yes, I mean, in the past,
We're
I've.
just putting it in our budget.
Correct. That's
As
all
an
we're
earmark.
doing today.
That's
is
all we're
putting
doing. We're
it-
just
putting
putting
it
it
in
in
the
our
budget.
market.
Exactly.
That's it,
Yep.
and that's, just so they understand it, we're not going
Correct.
through with it.
Correct.
We're just putting it in our budget, and we'll deal with
'Cause
whether
it's
we
an
go through it at a
anticipated-
later date.
Yep.
Anticipated expense next
Yep.
year.
That's correct. All right, I'm gonna move on to special revenue fund then. Nothing hot and heavy here. It's pretty straightforward. That's quick stuff. All right, page 240. So, special revenue fund, it is not an enterprise fund. It's considered a governmental fund, just like the general fund. But it's special in that it really doesn't lend itself to the normal course of budgeting. So any grants that are on a multi-year cycle would get budgeted here. Any of our fee in lieu accounts are budgeted here because they have a rolling reserve of fund balance that needs to roll from every year. So that's why they're all located in this fund. So just to go over a few, the first one on page 240 is the seized property, Federal Department of Justice account. Chuck, feel free to chime in on this one, but we have, we still have some forfeiture sharing cases with the DEA that are pending. We expected to receive the monies back in FY '25, still haven't received them yet. So when they do come in, those forfeiture monies will go into the revenue side, and we'll spend them out of this expense account according to the forfeiture regulations. That's very similar to account 2056, which is the seized property federal treasury account. As a result of the partnership that we have with the local,
Harford County Drug Task Force.
thank you,
Yes,
that just,
ma'am.
I drew a
Yep.
blank,
Yep,
thank you.
It's okay.
We've been expecting to receive between $25,000 and $40,000, again, through various cases. Again, the monies have not come in yet, so we're just budgeting for that anticipation. We would spend those monies again with the forfeiture regulations. We just have to keep the Federal Department of Justice separate from the Federal Treasury. They have separate bank accounts, so everything is really regulated with, when it comes to forfeiture monies, maintaining their separation from everything else. Do you have anything to add, Chuck?
Other than we occasionally send a request to ask for the status. They call it a DAG. Probably heard of that before. And sometimes we get a response and sometimes we don't. They kind of just go by their own speed, kind of like some other big governmental agencies that we deal with. So we're still trying to track it and keep an eye on it. That's
Thanks.
it. Yes, ma'am.
So just up, still on page 240, but account 2001, the Community Development Block Grant. Angela mentioned this this evening with the intent. So revenue in this account is provided through the CDBG program. Again, that's federal HUD money. It's an allocation that is a pass-through through Harford County. We have FY25 and FY26 funds, but both of those are expected to be used in the paving project that Steve mentioned this evening. So we just will have our FY27 allocation left to be spent, which are expected to receive notification of what that dollar amount is late in 2026. We don't have a current project for that yet. But once we know the dollar amount, staff will start to discuss this. And it may not be spent in fiscal year 27. It may be 2028. On page 241, account 3051, Explorer Scouts. The majority of this budget is a grant that's received through the Governor's Office of Crime Control. We did submit the grant again. Stephanie did in Angela's shop. However, we won't know how much, if anything, that we receive until for a few months, hopefully. But the projected revenue is just based on history at $27,000. And then the last account is 3052, which is the A&E District Projects. This account's been renamed. It used to be the Culture Arts Projects. But we've renamed it the A&E District since the majority of this money comes from a grant from the Maryland State Arts Council for the Arts and Entertainment District. Again, the grant is approximately $18,000. We have not been awarded that yet, but based on history, it should be around those dollars. And 100% will be spent on different A&E district expenses. So that's it for Special Revenue Fund, unless you all have any additional questions. All righty. Well, we have now gone over 100% of the budget. Yeah, I know. Okay, so I got some. Yeah. Okay. Somewhere in this pile of papers, I have the outstanding list for you all. That's mine. All right. That's 3 for you guys. That is for you. So from the last budget session, I just added 6 through 9 on here. And we can go in whatever direction you all would like to go.
I know I've had some discussions with Lisa that I have shared on some of the information, but what I had looked at the budget, I sat down with the book and went through and marked absolutely everything that was not 100% a necessity. And that is all the funds that are used for
lunches and things during the year, the $10,000 for the other toolbox, the Boys and Girls Club, $1,000 over what their ask was, the disc golf course, $10,000, pretty much like everything that I could even think of to put on a list. And I don't know if anyone, I could ask Mike to make some copies if you would like to see it, but I think everybody has seen the big spreadsheet of all those dollars. Lisa then, also a couple of projects I wasn't sure about, and they were some things in Josh's office that were computer things that are now also on the potential list of all the potential cuts that we can make that doesn't result in anyone losing their job, doesn't touch the 5% by making it larger, and doesn't touch the 2.9% COLA. With all that money, and it is pretty, it was a machete. I mean, it was like absolutely everything that I could locate. The Hartford Leadership Academy at $1,000 wasn't safe, you know, $50 for the MML emergency management dues, like every penny I could find. And I think we have enough to fund an additional police officer, which would be on my wish list for if, you know, we're looking to put things back in the budget. That was sort of my top priority for a couple of reasons. The biggest reason really is that I think it's really tough to be a police officer and not be able to get time off and to work overtime when you're really not, you know, you're just too tired to want more money, or you know, you don't want to get your day off canceled because you were going to go to a family function, and all those things happen in law enforcement, and it's just part of the job. But if you don't have enough people, it makes it, you know, much worse. And of course, our department is small to start with, and when we have, and you know, kudos to them for being in the reserves, but when we have some officers who are in the Marine Reserves and they get called up to serve, that leaves the department a couple of guys light. So it's tougher in a small department to cover that kind of thing. So my wish list, number one, was another police officer, and I think we can do it, but it is really and truly a bare bones budget after that. I would like to spend the money on that. If there's money left over, and I think there might be, I would consider what do we want to do with that. But it's not going to be a lot of money. It's not going to be another police officer money. It's not going to be a big enough chunk to, you know, make too much of a difference in much of anything. One of the things we could do with that is put some more money in the HSA accounts, and we'd have to figure out what we want to do to see how much money is left, to see how much money that would be in an HSA account spread across all the employees. Another thing we could do is, I personally love the Christmas party where everyone is recognized for their 5 years of service, their 10 years of service. I think it is a great thing for all the town employees to be recognized for their time in service and for them to get together and, you know, have a holiday meal. And I don't remember the dollar figure on that, but it is not a huge dollar figure. It's something that, you know, I think is a nice thing to do, and we could consider doing that. So that's kind of where I stand with the budget, but I do recognize that it means that, you know, many of these other things go by the wayside. The wellness program, the safety and attendance wards, you know, all the employee recognition that's in the various miscellaneous budgets and departmental budgets that are used for crab fees, service awards, departmental things, and those are the trade-offs. And there's
So-
also the potential, I know sometimes mid-year, there's another budget adjustment depending on how the numbers come in. Sometimes things are a little better than we thought, and at that time, we could also consider, what do we want to do with that money? Do we want to, you know, resurrect, you know, the wellness program and the quarterly lunch and learns? Do we want to take that money and do something else with it? And it would depend, of course, on how much it is. If it's $100, it's, you know, really not worth talking about, but if it's, you know, $10,000, then it would maybe fund something.
So, Paula, with that, do we know what a police officer is going to cost? What's the price
What
tag
does a
on
police
that?
officer cost?
I gotcha.
And that is sort of Lisa and the chief as well, but the full package for a police officer with benefits, salaries, the whole 9 yards. How much?
Probably 140,000.
Yep, that's most of it.
That's,
Fringe benefits and everything.
It's a little high compared to what I've calculated.
All right,
But
Miss
let
Lisa,
me-
I'm going with your calculations. No offense, chief. No offense, chief.
But it was a good shoot. It was a good shoot. Let me just run through the numbers and what they are, and Chuck, if you can, maybe I've missed something.
And it may also depend on whether it's a new recruit or a lateral is another, factor in salary, so.
So from a salary standpoint, I used, Chuck, I'm using the salary of an OFF3, like you and Michael and I decided, which is in the budget for the FY '26 officer, and any vacancies that we have in there. So I believe that's a good number. I have the academy at $4,000. I have uniforms at $7,500, and then $180 for shoes. I have $1,250 for a weapon. Okay. I have $1,430 for a vest. The rest are all fringes. So do you have anything that, I went through the budget, and anything that was struck through, I picked back up half of it because there were 2 officers. I don't know from a supply standpoint if that's, it's a okay. And then, fringes based on that, of course, you've got FICA, workers' comp, long-term disability, life insurance, pension, which are pretty well known once you know the salary. The one unknown is insurances. Is that person going to need insurance? Is that person going to choose family, single, husband, wife, care? So, that's the wild card in it. When I ran the numbers that I just mentioned to everybody, with a husband and wife assumption, I was at almost 120,000.
And that's 120 plus the uniforms and the academy and all that sort of thing?
That includes everything.
Okay, so that includes,
Every-
120 is the cost of a police officer,
Correct.
assuming husband and wife coverage?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yes.
And what about a car? Will we have to get one? Do we have one available?
Also, they come out of capital reserve, so that's a benefit. But the package that goes with them does not come out of capital reserve, so you're right to think about a car.
Yeah.
What is the is it 25,000 for the,
Yeah.
20 to 25,000 for the?
25,000 is in
for
the
that.
budget. But yeah, Chuck and I talked about the car end, because I wasn't sure, and he had mentioned, like he did this evening, that wouldn't be needed in FY '27.
And this also does leave alone, Lisa, I just want to make sure that there's no cut to any of our volunteer recognition lunches, or whether they choose to have polo shirts that they use that money for, whatever that is, we left that alone. That is not included in the cuts.
Correct, I didn't touch volunteer recognition.
I just wanted to make sure that I
Yep.
didn't accidentally
No problem.
touch volunteer recognition.
Yep, no, you did not. You did not. And I also want to mention too, because again, Chuck and I did talk about this piece, is that's assuming, that 120 is assuming that the officer starts on July 1.
Right, so it might be a
officer's not
little
gonna
less.
start
Yeah,
on July
right,
1.
Exactly,
Um,
exactly.
You know,
And that is
so
okay.
just wanted to mention that.
So that then leaves us, if we're assuming 120 for a police officer, and we're looking at the cut list over here, that leaves us with about $40,000.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
If we want to
If-
take
right,
all that out. I
certainly,
mean,
yes.
it
And then-
was brutal.
In that $40,000, you can look at what you might want to put back.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I needed a clarification. Paula, you had asked me about the wellness program.
Right.
I took you had wanted everything taken out of the wellness program, but I did not take out the water coolers, so.
Yes, I
just-
do not think I wanted to take the water coolers
Okay.
out.
I just took out the quarterly lunch and learns, the newsletter, and the gym membership.
There you go.
I just, again, I didn't want to make any, like you do, I'm just checking. But, all of the, and
And
do you wanna-
actually, I'm going to ask Mike if you could make copies for everybody of this, because it is a spreadsheet, so you can, just look down the side and see what there is. So if there's anything that you want to reconsider with the $40,000, we could certainly do that.
I know. Been there, done that, talked to Michael about it, I know.
The other thing I was looking at also, what is the Lexipol?
That is the policies, the computer,
They-
web-based policy
They
system.
keep up on the town's and the police department's policies. They also provide like some,
Okay.
they stand behind us legally on policies that are issued. It's a
All right.
very good program for us. If we didn't
Mhm.
have that, it's just a lot of work, constant work on us to
Right.
stay refreshed on our policies, because the laws and everything is changing so quickly anymore, it's just hard to keep up on it.
Yeah, no, I just didn't know
Yeah.
what it was, and it was a 22K for both the
It's
admin
expensive,
and
it is,
the
yeah.
police department, so yeah.
And I've double-checked the policies on occasion. I'll
Yeah.
just randomly double-check to see if it's current with the, they'll put the code and everything in there that they pull the policies from, that
Right.
they build their policies from.
And then, Mike, what was the YubiKey for? Wasn't that just another way of
It's a
logging into
security
your
thing.
computers?
It's like a VPN kind of thing. It's, and I don't think, I didn't think the YubiKey was something that was, still, that we were looking at, Michael. Is that the case, the YubiKey for, Josh's shop for meters and NCIC? It's like a VPN. It's a secure protocol, internet protocol kind of thing. So,
I mean, it's in the budget.
I don't have it cut, so it's definitely in there.
Yeah,
yeah.
I just couldn't.
Josh thinks it's the absolutely most secure way to move things forward to the future.
Right.
Steve, what line item is that? Where are you?
It's in the IT,
Yep.
530-035.
Okay. Yeah, Chuck, I think this is something different than what you're thinking of.
This is about, yeah.
'Cause
but
my,
it's-
my understanding is this was for all employees,
Correct.
with regard to their PCs.
Yeah,
It's
how
just-
you logged in, the description sounds like another way besides
Yeah.
using
I
a
think it-
username, password, but some other way to log in,
Yeah.
like RSID used to be or something like that years
Right.
ago.
I think it's the next evolution of, and Michael could speak more to it, I'm sure, but it's the next evolution of keeping us safe from, fraudulent activity
Yep.
or,
The
Getting in.
description right there at the top, the second and third word, phishing resistant,
there you go.
is what makes that critical.
It's an actual hardware key, apparently, that you
Mhm.
have to use with your
Plug
computer,
it right in.
with
Mhm.
with a serial number associated that it connects to your Microsoft account. So it requires actually the physical key and a PIN to log in instead of a password, so that it's more secure.
The sheer amount of attacks that our system prevents on a day-to-day basis, I would consider this,
I get
God
phishing
forbid,
emails like
God
all the
forbid,
time
we
about everything.
suffer a virus attack, yeah.
Like the Canvas system did with the school systems recently. They've had some sort of data breach.
Yes, that, and they received hostage you know, threats,
No,
you know,
no,
for
it's
their
just the-
data. You know, so I'm not sure how that got resolved, but
I'm not either, but I'd rather not be in that position.
What's proposed.
We have the tuition reimbursement in there.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain that? Like, is that utilized?
I think this is
Every
the first
year,
year it's
or-
been back in the budget.
Okay.
No, it's been in the budget
It's
for
been in the
several
budget?
years. It's just been under the police department because
Okay.
he has the employees that have taken advantage of it. But
Gotcha.
I believe this fiscal year '27 will be the third year that
Did-
we've utilized
with
that.
the formal policy, yes.
So did a lot of people
Yeah.
take advantage of it last year, or?
Yeah, we have three.
Employees pursuing their
Employees.
bachelor's
Yep.
degree.
Okay.
Which is a worthy thing to do. But like I said, I took a machete and, you know, and wrote down like absolutely everything that wasn't a person that was occupying a job. And the other difficult thing is like some of the big ticket items, the trenching, it's coming out of capital reserve, so it doesn't really help to cancel
Right.
the trench at $100,000. We do not have that available to spend on salary, health insurance, or, you know, anything else.
And we can't find current year revenue projects that we could move into capital reserve?
Sure. I mean, you could move the, hold on a minute. In
'Cause
town
I re-
buildings,
Yeah.
you can, on page 40,
Mm-hmm.
you could move, those first four bullets into capital, funded through capital reserve. But just keep in mind that the 2 Rockfield Manor projects, it would only just be 50% of that, because the other 50% is already in the revenue from Rockfield.
Well, I think if we're.
So we could certainly do that.
I think we should do that. That would be my vote.
How much
Sure,
money
what would
is
that
that?
be? Oh, sure, hold on a second.
33.
You could also do the,
Like $50,000, I think?
the $10,000 toolbox. That would fall into that as well, if you wanted to do that. So let me include that.
I think that gets us to around 60, if I did my mental math right, but I'm gonna defer to Lisa.
Yeah, the toolbox is on the cut list, and we can certainly move that to
Oh,
the capital
true,
reserve, but it
true.
won't
So-
save
so then
anything.
Let's say 50
Right,
then.
right, right.
Let's say 50 then.
Do you not want me to include the toolbox?
Yeah, don't include the
Don't include
toolbox
the
for the
toolbox.
purpose of this
Okay,
calculation.
okay, I understand.
Okay, what were you?
So it's the capital reserve. We could use Rockfield.
Buildings capital, you would take half
So
of Rockfield,
it would be 16 plus 8.
It's $49,955.
There you go. I
And
was
that-
off by $45.
That's why we have to have Lisa here.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No.
I took half of Rockfield
No.
already.
So Steve, it's 16 plus 8 plus 9 plus around 17. So that's about $50,000 there.
you're taking everything there except for the non-pot obviously.
Right.
I thought you were only talking about
No.
16, 8, and then half of the 18, half of 33.
Right.
Correct.
So that's almost $50,000.
And
I would
J-
agree with you.
Jake, what did you want to do with that money?
Look at
Reinstating?
restoring some of the
Right,
things
that's what I
that
was gonna
maybe we
say,
don't wanna.
restoring it,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay, I'm with you.
Like I know that first on my list of restoring things is employee recognitions in this list here, and I think that $50,000 gets us there.
I think that would be much appreciated by,
Absolutely.
I think, your department heads
Absolutely.
as well,
Yeah.
for sure.
And that's what we're looking for,
Mhm.
you know, okay, here's
Sure,
worst case, all of it.
yep,
What
yep.
do we, how much money do we have? Where are we gonna get our most bang for our buck and putting things back in?
absolutely.
So that $50,000, that can restore most, all.
So, if we look at on the spreadsheet that you have there, if you look at employee recognition, departmental budgets, it's 19,000. Employee recognition in the miscellaneous budget, that would restore everything in that line item, which is the crab feast, the service awards, the Christmas party, and their certificates, at almost 13,000. I think our safety and attendance awards program is a great program.
Right.
I would hate to see that.
I would too.
I mean, but I would say Chuck and Steve, it's your guys that really work this. I don't want to speak for you, but I think that would be an important.
I think it's a great incentive
Yeah.
for them to, it's something that they appreciate it. I do know that. Good, Steve, right?
Okay. All right, so, so those three together are 39,316, so we've got another, 10,500 to go. The wellness, program,
How utilized is that?
not much anymore. I would ask, again, Steve, your group attends, but I would say I probably wouldn't be heartbroken if that
Right.
went away. But I don't want to speak for everybody sitting here and Michael. I think there's other items on this list that could be reinstated more than that.
Right.
And we're only talking $2,700.
Because I certainly think that the things that we just talked about are critical. I don't mean to sound callous when I say this next thing, but I get those emails and I'm like, how many people are actually doing this?
No, I get it.
Yeah,
I totally get it. Yep. So no, I wouldn't be heartbroken. It had a time and a place before COVID,
Yeah.
and then it kind of went south. So I think the water coolers are not included in
Right.
in this. I think that is nice, something nice to have. So I would like to keep that, but that's not in the cut anyway.
Right.
So
Certainly.
it doesn't matter. You've got tuition reimbursement, the toolbox to talk about. I mean, both of those are 10 grand.
To me, the tuition reimbursement, to me, would be the next thing that I would want to add back in.
Okay.
I said, the tuition reimbursement would be the next thing on the list of things that I would want to add back in. It's not a, exactly.
Well, then we're there.
If we're also putting back the toolbox, that gets us there.
So you could
No.
the toolbox would be above and beyond.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood you.
But
Okay.
I mean, you could use capital reserve for that toolbox. You added $8,000 to the capital reserve for one of the projects in town buildings, so I mean that's a possibility if you all want to do that, to reinstate that. That's the way I would reinstate it.
And we're making choices here, because if we buy another police officer, and then we put all these things back in, then there is no additional money left over to do anything for health, the health savings accounts or anything like that. So, it's
Absolutely.
like, there's only so much money, and like, none of these things are bad things. I mean, but, you have to pick. And so one of our important picks, I think we seem to all be in agreement, is putting back in the tuition reimbursement.
Yes.
But every penny we put back is a penny you don't have to spend somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so I know that we found $50,000 worth in current year revenue projects that could be considered capital. If we're looking to hunt down the other $46,000 that we nixed with the H-Man, does anything else come to mind? No? Okay, that
Well,
was the end of that.
The H-Man, 46,000.
It was 96,000.
Oh, so that's capital reserve.
So what I'm
Right.
asking for is you can't, off the top of your head, you're not thinking of any other projects that are current year that could be moved into capital? Okay.
No.
I mean, hey, finding $50,000 was great, so I'm not mad about that. I'm just curious
Yeah.
if there was anything else
Again, the
that
toolbox.
would qualify.
The toolbox would qualify. No, because all your vehicles are coming out of capital
Right. Understood.
reserve. I don't recommend taking out, hold on one second. You know, so every year Josh has in the IT budget, the monitor replacements, laptop replacements, computer replacements. While those can be construed as capital, they're still reoccurring because
Right.
Yeah.
they're
we
on
don't
a
wanna do that.
replacement, and they're not or $200,000 like a vehicle that should come out of the capital reserve. So I don't want to see us go down that path of starting to pick things out of the technology budget to take out of capital reserve.
Sure.
Okay. So, there is no projects in the armory. The floor that's gonna be redone, that is not considered capital, that's considered routine maintenance. So I would not recommend that.
And is considered by whom?
Is considered maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
So it's considered maintenance because it needs to be done.
Mhm.
And so it's not extending the life enough to be considered a capital project.
And is that,
Or
that's
capital
that's an accounting
improvement.
decision?
That's the way accounting, I mean, yes,
Okay.
that's accounting.
Yeah.
Yep, that's
Right.
accounting. You don't, because I would recommend that we not look at individual types of maintenance that
Mhm.
needs to be done coming out of the capital reserve.
Yeah, I
I just
understand.
caution.
I
just
understand the wisdom in
caution.
that. I just think we want to get
I know.
everything out in front of us.
Nope, gotta talk about it.
Yeah.
I get it. All of the vehicles are already coming out of capital reserve. We've removed the pump park and the disc golf.
Right.
Is already out.
And I
There-
think when I took
So-
out the MML Fall Conference, I took half of it or something, because I think one of it, somebody needs to go to maintain our something.
I actually took that out of the administrator's
Okay.
budget. I didn't touch commissioner's budget at
Okay.
all.
Oh, okay.
This was something that Eddie thought he would be attending
Right,
because of his new membership in the emergency management.
right.
But it's not something that the town administrator has attended in the past. So
Right.
I cut that on my own when I looked at your list.
Well, thank you.
It just made sense.
I just remember
the
one
time.
year I went to the fall one. I was the only one that went, and I went because we needed to go to maintain something, Banner City. So we just need to have enough money for one of us to go in the fall. It's not really a popular conference as much as the summer one, but we do need to attend.
And I mean, what is that? A couple $100?
It's not that much, because it's usually just a day or two, and, well, this last time it was in Western
It would be
Maryland.
about 800 because there's 2 in the budget right now, so
Yeah.
it'd be a little over
So
$800
that's not- yeah,
savings.
we're not even worried about that.
That's
So
a
from-
tenth of a drop in the bucket.
So,
Correct.
so the
So what,
what
summarizing, we had 161 identified in savings, and then another 50 or so that we're moving from general to capital, so that'll give us another 50, right? So that'll give us about 210. We're gonna take
No.
120 out for the officers, right?
wrong
Your, our spreadsheet shows 161, right, n- without any cuts, without any adjustments.
Correct, but that 50 you mentioned is not additional savings. That's reinstating items on this spreadsheet.
It's
Yes, that's what we
Through
want to do with it, but
capital.
Right.
what Steve is asking for is before we reinstate anything,
Yes.
that takes us to 210. Before
Oh,
we,
Before we reinstate anything.
Yes.
It takes us to
Yes.
210.
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
And then we got 120 for a police officer,
Mm-hmm.
so that brings us down to 90.
And then with that
So
90,
with that 90, then we can start reinstating
right,
some of these things. And right now, I've only got,
Backwards.
what we are reinstating were the employee recognition,
Mhm.
department and miscellaneous,
Yep,
the safety and attendance awards.
right,
So that's getting me up to about 39,000, right? The toolbox,
Not, no,
well, it's-
no.
okay, we're not, no toolbox. Tuition reimbursement, so that
That's
brings
the
us to.
49,000.
That brings us to
Mhm.
49,000, so we still have another 40,000 to go. I'm just,
I think that's where he's going with
that's,
this.
well, that's where I'm, we still have another 40,000. If Lisa, tell me if I'm right.
What would that do to, like, HSA?
Okay?
Hang
Would
on.
that make an impact?
I think the point that he's making is that we're taking out of this 160 we'll call it the draconian list of cuts.
Yeah.
The point of that was to find money for a new police officer.
Right.
So that then leaves us with $40,000.
Right.
Mhm.
At the same time, we are going to find $50,000
Yes.
that that was going to be current year revenue that's going to be moved into capital, and that's going to allow us to reinstate some of these things, $50,000 worth.
And 40, plus the 40.
Plus the 40.
Yeah, I'm saying
Yeah.
So hold on.
Okay.
I know where you're going, but I'm trying to walk through this step by step.
Okay.
We found $50,000 in the capital,
Yes.
and we found a corresponding $50,000 worth of reinstatements.
Mhm.
Yes, we're on the same page.
Yes.
So that's a wash.
Yes.
So if we take the 120 from that 160, notwithstanding the wash, that 50,000, that's where we have $40,000 remaining. That's where Commissioner Chismar is getting that number.
Yes.
Are you on board with that assessment, Ms. Moody? Okay. So now we have to find what are we doing with this remaining $40,000, which tees up the conversation about HSAs.
HSAs, yeah.
And what does that
So
look
that,
Right.
that's around $400 more or less each employee. I just used 100 for ease of math. $40,000 divided by 100 employees, that's like $400 more in your HSA account.
Right.
Or we could buy a toolbox, or we could,
Again, it depends upon what level of coverage the person is in, if they're
Right.
individual, 35, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, whatever percentage of the deductible that we would contribute is based upon the deductible that they have. So there are multiple employees with a individual deductible, and then
gotcha.
every other
So it wouldn't
level
be
of
for every,
coverage.
it would be $40,000,
So-
but it would be split up differently depending on whether your deductible is the family deductible or the individual
single.
deductible.
Whatever
Gotcha.
percentage that would increase the 25 up to, yeah.
Right, and I don't know what, we don't know what
Lisa's,
that is.
Lisa's pencil is moving.
I'm listening.
I know you are.
I'm
We know you are.
listening. Just
We know you are.
keep,
And then
keep talking.
What is like 1% of the premium? What would that be?
We have that answer somewhere.
That I don't think I have with me.
I do not know the answer to that question, what 1% of the premium is.
By my computations, about 16.2. 16,200.
I think it is less than 20. I do remember doing it, but
Yeah.
I don't.
No offense, but I'll wait till Lisa weighs in on the,
I always welcome a double check. I'm just saying by my calculation.
I'm sure you're in the ballpark, though.
What would be most advantageous?
That is the question, as Commissioner Foss is saying, that is outside, right, or Mike wasn't on. That is the question. If we have $40,000, what is most advantageous to an employee? Paying 4% rather than 5% of their health insurance costs? Having the money in the flex medical account, or health savings account? Like what,
If you think about it in the terms of contribution to the premium, which the employees have never contributed before, the proposed budget has them going from 0 contribution to 5% contribution, and then reducing the 35% town contribution to the health savings account down to 25%. We're all clear on that. What would a person prefer to have back? I hesitate to say, because it'll
What would-
probably, it'll
What
probably
would
be
Michael
different.
Krantz
It'll
prefer?
probably be different amongst many different people, but
Always true.
for the participants in the healthcare plan, money contributed to the health savings account is theirs to keep, even if they separate, from employment. It's almost like another retirement plan for those who use it as it's intended to be, because maybe, God bless you, you're healthy and your family doesn't use or doesn't meet your entire deductible every year. That HSA continues to grow. And sooner or later, someone's going to get sick, someone's going to twist an ankle, God forbid, hopefully nothing worse, but they will then have to use that, and that money will have been built up. I've advised people over the years, your goal ought to be to try to save
Yes.
2 times your deductible or more before you would back off putting
That's what we
money
did.
in your
That's what-
savings account.
That's what I would do.
Which I never
People
really
want it back in the
advocate
pay.
backing off it,
People
because
want
we're
it
all
back in
getting
the pay.
older and we're all gonna need it sooner or later. So when the town does contribute money towards the HSA, remember that's something that the employee keeps even if they separate employment.
Yeah,
And then it's that money that's there,
yes.
God forbid, in a time of need,
Mhm.
because there's nothing worse than an employee coming into the HR office and saying, I don't have enough money to cover my deductible. And that's when we did institute a zero interest loan policy for employees to help them. Then we would cover the difference in a payroll loan to make up that difference of their deductible, and then would pay it back over a period of time. We've only done that maybe a few times. It hasn't happened much at all, but that's, when it has happened, I remember being a crisis for that person.
Oh, it
And-
clearly would be if you
Yeah.
don't have money to pay for your medical care. That is absolutely
Yeah.
horrible. And I can't believe that the town is so generous as to have a 0%, a loan, an interest-free loan in essence to,
The people
help
that
people out.
hits are folks who are on health maintenance prescription drugs. And sometimes those prescription drugs, or those drugs that they take day after day, week after week, month after month, whatever form or delivery they're given, sometimes that person can hit that deductible within a month or two of the new fiscal year.
Wow.
Because sometimes those prescriptions can be injectables and they're very expensive, and suddenly their entire deductible is due within 30, 60, 90 days. So so for those people who do use the healthcare and hit their deductible every year, I know they would likely appreciate having the money in their health savings account.
Well, Michael,
Now,
you've convinced me. Part of the reason is that
Yeah.
it is your money to keep as an employee.
That makes a difference, I think.
That's huge.
Now,
And if you
of
leave
course-
the town, it goes with you.
No, yeah.
Plus, it's tax-free going in. You don't pay taxes on that money going
And
in.
you'll never pay taxes.
And
going
it's
out.
tax-free coming out. So you don't pay taxes on the money that went in, and you don't pay taxes on it when it comes out, even on the gains, is my understanding. I've never
Correct.
I've never been fortunate enough to have one of those accounts. And the
The
premiums come out.
The premium, of course, is also pre-tax.
Correct.
And the
That's what I was gonna
premium
say.
is, of course, something you have to pay whether you use your health insurance or not. So reducing that does benefit everyone across the board.
Of course, so does
Yeah.
more money in your HSA.
So does
Every-
more money in your
it just-
HSA.
It's just,
So
benefits
where
you in
you
a
would
different way.
prefer to have it,
Right.
I don't, it's, when it's in the HSA, it's there for a specific purpose. When the money's given back in the premium, that money is back in your paycheck, and you can really use it for whatever you want. And what I don't like to be is the person that says, this is what I think you should do with your money, because far be it from me to put myself in any employee's shoes and say, this is really what you ought to do with it.
Right.
I'm sure many people would probably prefer to have the money in their wallet versus in their HSA. But when push comes to shove, when there's an emergency, when somebody needs that HSA money and they need it to hit their deductible, it's one of the most emotional, trying times and for that employee and for their and for the HR department, because they ultimately come directly to us for advice and guidance. So maybe my heartstrings go in that direction towards an HSA, but I think as I just talk through it with you here, I would suspect people would probably want to have it back in their paycheck.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
what I was
I would
going
agree
to
with
That's what
that.
I was going to survey this side of the room too. It's not just
have
the
several
HR.
employees here.
I would
Very-
agree with
Very
that.
subjective.
I
Yeah.
appreciate what Mr. Krantz is saying about the HSA, and that in case of emergency, that money is great to be there, and it's still theirs if they separate. But in, I would say, most employees' cases, that would not be the scenario that they would be encountering. Of course, there are advantages for tax, coming out pre-tax, but I think, given our current economic environment, a lot of employees would prefer to have that additional percentage, if that's how it comes out, back in their
Their
paycheck,
pockets.
since they're going from 0 to 5% in their contribution to their health insurance premiums.
That would be my perspective as well.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Same
as
from the
well.
police department, yeah.
Okay.
You know, I just, from the, employees may or may not use that HSA, you know, it's a crapshoot.
But they get paid every 2 weeks and
Right.
see
That
that
was my
money not
question,
in
is
their
everyone-
pocket.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, and I think of it in the respect, and Michael and I have had this conversation back and forth as we've been working through this for weeks. But the way that I look at it and what I hear too is, you know, trying to get, especially the younger generation, to contribute to their 457, right? When the town has a match, and there are some that won't do that because they want the money in their paycheck.
And in fairness,
And they
may
need
need
it.
the money in their paycheck.
Correct.
That's what I was going to say.
Correct.
When
They
you're a
need it.
beginner on the pay scale,
Yes, so.
$20 makes a difference. I
so
get that.
Thinking about that reasoning, yeah, that's why I said I think they would want that 5% to come down.
All right.
I would agree.
I am on the percentage, using it to reduce the percentage to whatever degree
Yes.
that, however far that goes.
And they could also choose to put that in their HSA, should that's where they want to save it.
Correct.
Yeah.
They could,
That's right. That's a
Whereas
very
if you
good
do it
point.
the other way,
they have no choice.
they have no choice.
And we
Yeah.
still have that ability to, like you
Well-
said, with the people that might need that, with the deductibles, and they needed the
Oh,
0%.
we'll still do a loan.
We
of
can still
course.
do
Yes.
that
Yeah.
for the
It's- that
folks that are.
policy has never gone away. It just hasn't been utilized lately.
Right,
Well, I'm glad nobody's had to utilize it, but it's nice that it's there if you really get in a jam.
yes, yes. So, if that's what the board, and I'm gonna run through all these changes before we're done.
Right.
I also want to mention that if there are any, after all of these changes, including the percentage, reducing the percentage from 5 to whatever, if there are some dollars left of savings, I would like to be able to reduce some of the revenue accounts that I inflated slightly. I'm not talking a lot, I'm talking maybe at most $10,000 or $15,000. That's what I would like to do, if there's anything left. So can I run through these changes with you all?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
We count on you to make sure that our math is correct.
All right, so we are going to add to the budget one additional officer for a full year at approximately $120,000, with the assumption of the husband-wife coverage. I'm going to reinstate, not reinstate, but the town buildings items that were listed, they'll now be funded through capital reserve. On the spreadsheet here, I'm just gonna go down the list, guys. I'm gonna start from the top and go down, okay? We are still cutting the code enforcement part-time person.
Yes.
We are cutting the $2,500 for the Microsoft Teams phone licenses and buy if they're needed. We have not talked about that, but that was something that Michael and Josh reviewed, those two items, the 2,500 and the 2,000. Are you all okay with that?
I am okay with any cuts that Josh agreed to without being wrestled to the floor and having his arm
We-
twisted,
we
because
can
we need to
buy-
be careful.
We can buy the Teams phone licenses when we need them.
Okay,
And he suspected they could probably be turned on pretty quickly.
okay.
So probably even backpedaling that out of the budget. And then the Starlink, we already have
We have-
Verizon, Comcast, and Verizon Wireless. So we already have 3 modes of communication. Adding the satellite would literally be a 4th, so
We-
perhaps
yeah.
the 4th is one too many redundancies.
Okay, so those two are gonna stay cut, 2,500 and 2,000. The next one is 6,215 for the accessibility compliance scanner for the website. That was again a cut by Michael and Josh. The 4,300 for the Know Before security awareness training, that stays cut. The employee recognition will be fully reinstated in all departmental budgets at 19,120. The employee recognition and the miscellaneous budget of 12,896 will be fully reinstated. The safety and attendance awards of 7,300 will be fully reinstated. The wellness program items shown there of the quarterly lunch and learns, the newsletter, and the gym membership will be cut. However, the water coolers will, expense will remain. The next, I'm not gonna touch because they're definitely savings, so the savings in dental, vision, life, long-term disability, workers' comp, so I'm skipping right over those. The disc golf is gonna be cut. The toolbox will be cut. The Hartford Leadership Academy in the planning department's budget will be cut. Boys and Girls Club, contribution will be reduced by $1,000. In the town administrator's budget, the emergency management dues of $50 will be cut. The fall conference will be cut of $1,075. Tuition reimbursement will be reinstated. The pump park will be cut at $5,000. The MML, Municipal Managers Association, or Mayors, I'm sorry.
Mayors, yeah.
Mayors Association will be cut of $100. The Hartford Land Trust contribution will be cut of $500, and the MML conference for the public relations will be cut of $2,000.
That's it?
And then I will take the remainder, and we'll see if I can get however many percentages
That adds
I
up to.
can get out of that difference.
Right.
Okay, to reduce from 5% to, again, whatever I can do. I have somewhere. Just going back to the outstanding list now, guys, okay? We can go back to that. I think we answered the question for number 1, then that will be cut. 2 and 3 and 4 were already done. Did you have any questions on the investment report that I sent out? I never asked.
No.
Okay,
Looks good.
okay, all right, thank you.
I was just curious how much we had in assets.
Yeah, no worries. The COLA will remain at 2.9%, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We've already talked about 6 and 7. I believe the decision was made on the trench project that it will be cut. Even though it's coming out of capital reserve, it's still gonna be cut.
That was my feeling.
Is
It's-
that-
It's a
Yes?
huge expense,
Okay.
and
Until we find out what the county's doing.
Okay. Yep. All right. Then the next one, and I'll ask Michael to chime in here. At the last budget session, we talked about should we fund the secondary fiber optic connection with the Armory and DPW, and Michael and Josh got back to me and said that DPW needs to be done, not the Armory. So that 13,000 comes from capital reserve, so we'll maintain half of it, if that's okay with the board.
Yes, I'm good with that, because I
Okay.
read somewhere it's really critical for Public Works to have this connection, so we need to get them connected.
Okay, so a couple things that are not on this list that I was jotting down as we went along. Ironically enough, the Alliance got me a revised Christmas parade and tree lighting profit and loss summary than the one that's in your budget. And the one that she sent me still had some issues with it, but the bottom line is that they still had a profit, just not as much of a profit as they showed before. So I just wanted to mention that to you all. I'm assuming we're still going to keep them flatlined, but again, just full disclosure.
What did they ask?
They asked for 7,000. They're being
Okay.
funded 5,500, but they had a profit in '25, so
Did they say what that profit
it was $1,400. And they had a
Oh.
profit in '24, I
So
believe,
not
too.
much. Well, I mean, not much of a profit.
No, but,
Well, you were saying $14,000.
no,
you know,
no, no, no,
1,400.
no. But I just think it's something that you revisit next budget. All right. So some good news that doesn't change the budget. So don't get excited. But the treasurer at Harford County sent all the municipalities the stormwater management contribution for fiscal year '27, which they've never done before. But I think the reason they did this year is because the county is transferring $5.2 million from the general fund to the stormwater fund for fiscal year '27. So that revenue is also split with the towns according to the MOU. So I think this was probably been the first time that's happened. That means that our contribution is $632,846, Steve. So that's just gonna go into the reserve, because we're not gonna spend it. So again, would have to be spent on stormwater. We already have a project in the '27 budget that we're utilizing from the reserve. So this money, while it's a much larger revenue number than I have in the budget, it's just gonna transfer into the reserve. So good news for future and future projects. So again, just wanted to mention that. And then, Michael and Josh went through their budget a second time, and are recommending that on page 98, account 0812, line 3 and 4, which is the server everybody there? Which is the server replacement redundant file server for the rack at DES, and the domain controller server for DES, again, rack redundancy, be cut. And I'll let Michael give some background on that.
The simple background is, we didn't even ask for enough. Upon further review, we couldn't afford to do what we need to do for $25,000. It's gonna have to be more, so we'll just defer that to another fiscal year.
And that's current year revenue?
It's
No.
capital.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. I would have brought it up much sooner than
I know.
that.
I
It
was really
coming out.
hoping, because earlier we were talking about not, capitalizing the tech budget, but okay, I got you.
And the only reason we did this, Jake, was because these were one-time capital for a specific purpose that would not come up again. So are you all okay with cutting those again? It'll
Yes,
reduce
absolutely.
capital reserve. All right. those are the only other items that were on my list that I just wanted to share.
All right.
I just had a quick question. The Alliance, the Christmas parade tree lighting, that doesn't cut them short then?
No.
Like you had said that because they made that profit
Mhm.
and they were asking for,
They asked for 7. We're
Mhm.
just flat funding them at the 5,500, which is the same as they had in
okay.
fiscal year '26.
And that is
So,
assuming that,
Thank you.
the reason that they show a profit is because they have been able to secure sponsorships from local organizations. So it doesn't cut them short as long as they are able to secure those sponsorships from local organizations. So that is to be determined based on the general climate of businesses and their willingness to sponsor community events.
So if they didn't, would we have money to be able to give it to them?
Yes, I'm sure. I'm
Kinda-
sure.
Kind of the answer's always like maybe, you know,
Yeah.
it depends on how much they need, and
Yeah.
it depends on where we are, because as the budget year, at the beginning of the budget year, we don't
Mhm.
have any money. As the
Correct.
budget year goes along, sometimes we have savings
Yes.
from other things
Mhm.
or
I-
increased revenue, and
I am
it-
sure that if they find themselves in a lurch of, let's say, $1,000, that
we will
either
find it.
either the town or some other
new
benevolent
at this,
organization
so
will
it's-
help them.
Yeah, and if that did come up, it would not, I would not make that, I would not make that unilateral decision. I would, of course, bring it to you all, because even though, let's just say it was a $5,000 or $1,000, it's not a lot of money, but the point is that you all, through the budget process, kind of dictate what the nonprofits get. So that's not something I would decide on my own. I would bring it before you.
it would be like, not everybody went to the summer conference, and there's $1,000, you know,
Yeah.
that we could
I
find in
mean,
there to move
for all we
around.
know, it takes 3 months to get a new police officer started, and there's a
Correct.
quarter of that
Right.
you know, not necessarily the whole 120, but there's, you know,
Yeah.
a good chunk of it right there,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
So even Lisa
For sure.
Moody doesn't worry about like the $1,000 kind of issues.
I can't thank you enough for going through all this, though, Paula. I mean, you and Steve took a lot of time, and Lisa, I mean,
Hey.
Oh, my
and-
gosh.
And
And Michael, everyone.
Everyone, because it's a group project, it was a long list, some of it was Josh's, you know, some of it,
And-
it's spread around where everybody's got a little bit of pain, and hopefully this will be, you know, something that is somewhat more acceptable to the employees. I get it, and I'll tell you, the guys I feel sorriest for is everybody that's on the low end of the pay scale, that's just
Yeah.
starting out with the town,
Yeah.
and you really haven't gotten, you know, your merit or step increases and COLAs for several years, and then, you know, you have family health insurance, and that's the most expensive coverage. You have to have it, it's a great program, but I feel sympathy for those guys, what with the cost of gas is over $4 a gallon, and the cost of food at the grocery store is just scary every time you go, so I'm, you know, I'm sensitive to that, and I think, you know, whatever we can do,
Right.
we're gonna try to do, to make it just a little less painful.
I know when we first started going into this, we were hoping to get 2 more police officers and
Oh, I
still
know.
maintain the same level of benefits that we had given before.
And we got a
Along
nasty
with the merit
surprise.
increases, along with the merit increases in the COLA, that was the goal, until we got the one
Until we got the draft budget where we
Right.
found out that those things have
Well,
all been eaten
up
by,
by the health premiums, so that was not,
it's nobody's fault. It's no one's fault, it's just the market.
it's not the way we had foreseen things going down.
It had not been, had
So,
not been.
yeah, that's not the way.
So the motion on Monday for the final budget will lay out all of these changes that will need to be read, okay?
And I'm going to assign that to Commissioner Taylor.
Walked right into that one.
And thank you, Lisa. I know you'll have to go through and do a lot of changes in math, and I really appreciate everyone's efforts on putting together the draft budget. You have to start somewhere, and everyone's, you know, kindness in working with the cuts that, there's some of the things that are going in. And I think it's, not as good as we would like it to be, but somewhat better than we started with.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Anybody else? Anything to say?
What
All
else is
right.
on our agenda?
That is it. That was the last
Oh,
thing,
okay.
discussion by commissioners on the budget issues, and it's also the last thing on the budget, unless somebody comes up with something between now and Monday. So may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second on the adjournment motion?
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
That was unanimous. Thank you all.